line screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polished choir. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth is harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday! Friday, the day before the weekend. I know you guys just showed up to hear me sing, and that's why you're here. So I'll be performing a full set today. Prepare yourselves. It's going to be ugly. No, I would never do that to you guys. You guys, you know, we got stuff to get to, including some shocking, out of nowhere news pieces today, including Trump being friends again with Michael Cohen, the lawyer who absolutely betrayed him. What? So we got to break that down. That is a wild story going on, and it makes you wonder how much going on is kayfabe, how much of it's real. What is the point of a lot of these things? We're going to bring General Flynn in that today, talk about him. And then the terror attacks being thwarted by the FBI, absolutely wild. And they gave us a breakdown of how they found it in a way I've never seen before. So excited to show that as the Trump justice wing keeps spreading across the nation. Obviously, we have Iran updates as Iran continues and the media continues to report that things are getting worse and worse over there as Trump tightens the screws. And then finally, some economic updates as Trump's economy is starting to work and do miraculous things, despite what the reporting says and despite what so many are feeling in their pocketbooks. Change is happening, and it is going to affect you very soon, including a major announcement on beef to help with beef prices. So buckle up, guys. Plus, there's much, much more. Hope you got a grifter report, of course. So buckle in. I'm going to hang out with you guys the next couple of hours. We're going to try to have a lot of fun while going through what's happening. I did just get off an hour and a half of talking with Rich from Rich Does Politics, so keep an eye out for those videos this weekend as they drop. But yeah, let me get into it. Please hit that like and subscribe. And let's do some shout outs for who's in the Chizat. We got on the Rums, Rumble, Chrissy Katz, So Cali, AZ Tropic. Thank you guys for watching and holding it down over there. But here on the tubes. We got Pat M, UBT, Lerpticon, Rafi, Golden Code, Sean Dugan, LED, Lisa Doxy, K2 for you today, Jim, Akin, Bobby Girl, Rajabak, Jay Tyrus, John R, Lil Roo, Lisa Couture, Vince Feliz, what's up, brother? Scott Volkovich, CE, Texas, my old home state, 9 years in Tejas. Loved it there. Janice Bain, Smelteg, Threads, Doc No, Mark DeGoul, Damina Sean, Kellyanne Washburn, Dan the Man Green, Michael Richards, but not the Kramer version, Dan Harold, Kevin Tweedy, Moody Waters, D Palm, Saved by Grace, Rum Dog, and many, many more. Thanks, guys, for watching today and hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate you as always. Excited to be here. And whoa, where'd that come from? All right, sorry guys, got a little voice reverb happening. But anyways, what's going on, folks? You guys ready for the weekend? Ready for a good time? So much going on. Kevin Copperland's here with $2 super chat. Thank you, Kevin. Guys, welcome to the greatest community on YouTube. Somebody once told me, no, I belong to many greatest communities. I said, no, you don't. You belong to one because there's only one. Only one could be the GOAT. Why is it the GOAT? We make sure to keep the bots and the trolls out so real people can be here with real conversations. I had a furious one yesterday who I blocked, and then he came back 4 different times on different accounts. That was really fun. So we'll take them down to keep it free and free flowing for you peeps. So questions, comments, disagreements, all are acceptable as long as you're respectable and honest. And I'll do my best to get in the chat and talk to you guys in between segments. And also, as always, if you want to support the channel, super chats are welcome. They are guaranteed to be read and answered. Or you can check out the membership where we have deep dive content, but 24/7 there's a Discord chat where the community is amazing. Get news right at the moment it happens. People sharing amazing things, funny memes, building relationships, all kinds of great stuff. Find that in the description. Click that Patreon link and try a month for free. What mountain do I report from? That is AI Island. It's a beautiful mountain. I don't think it exists. Chio Sab with a $2 super chat says it's American Fire time. Light it up. Light it up. Light it up. We're here. We're doing it. Michael Argenti, President Trump's everyone's friends until they're not. That's why he's a successful businessman. That is true. That is true. But the Michael Cohen thing I'm going to report on today is actually wild because that guy full on betrayed Trump. And the fact they're being friendly now is very interesting. Rob Loblo, what's up, man? Says, good morning. It seems Trump's economic warfare globalists are dumping cash into crypto. Crypto trade volume skyrocketed right before and since Big Gay patent started. Well, you know, and I actually just got done talking about this with Rich, that Trump's the move he made the other day where he basically called out the whole globalist City of London system and basically declared war on them. And then, interestingly enough, it was very, very quiet afterwards. And to me, that signifies that they are terrified and now they're scrambling to make moves. So would it make sense that they're throwing it into crypto, stuff like that? Absolutely. 100% it would. Cindy Dreyer Sweetly says, I come to your channel for updates. What's going on in our country? Awesome. Welcome. So glad you're here. Everybody else watching, if you're new, please hit that subscribe. And I think if you like MAGA, if you like the direction our country is going into, I'm not saying you don't have problems. I'm not saying you're happy with every little thing, but if you think we're heading in the right direction or trying to head in the right direction, this is the channel for you. I hope you come make it your home or one of your homes along with other places because, love to get to know you guys too as you keep jumping in. All right. We're going to jump into it in just a second here, folks. But let me, let's see. I think we'll start here today. All right. I'll jump in just a minute. As always, guys, questions, comments, disagreements, welcome. I do love this community. It's a big part of why I do what I do. So questions, comments are welcome. This is Friday. You never know. It can go any direction. So again, throw your stuff in and, ask what you want. Ask what you want. I'll do my best to answer. Even if it's off topic, I can get into it. I'll let you know if it's not right timing. Chio said Trump will use Cohen to get to Letitia James. That would be very interesting, wouldn't it? Thank you, Chio, for the super chat as always. What does Cohen have and whom does he have it on? Well, I'm sure Cohen has some receipts, I gotta say. That guy was going off all across. He was he was a mainstream media star for a time when he was going off on Trump. And it's not somebody I thought would come back, but we're going to talk about that in a segment here soon. Mark DeGold says, "This is my home now. I appreciate the FIU." Well, thank you, friend. I appreciate that. Diane Mates, God Save the USA says, "We're like the kid vitamins, MAGA, America Fire, Ace is strong, growing." Was it million strong and grow? Flintstone kids. That's what it is. You could be America Fire kids. We're Flintstone kids. Lisa Couture says, many on the Q community think he's a white hat. Q said good people may be bad and bad may be good, something like that. Well, yeah, there is kayfabe. There's all kinds of operations going on. You never know. So Cohen has a golden key. I would love to know what's going on there. If you're thinking that, how do you put that one together would be my question. Violence says, sadly, Cohen's admitted an adjudicated perjurer. His word isn't worth its weight in bovine fertilizer. Well, I'm not saying his word is. It's more of Trump hanging out with him. We're going to get to that segment. I think it's shocking stuff, and so we'll get to that. But because it's about the relationship and the psyops, okay, because it fits into that subject. I'm gonna be covering that in the Grifter Report. So just hang in there. We'll get there. Cohen was Trump's fixer. Well, that's what apparently he was said to be. Was he though? That's the question. Anyways, are you guys ready to get into it? Again, as always, please questions, comments, throw them in, and I will do my best to catch up. Oh, tag me. I forgot to say that. Please tag me. The tags are so much easier to find when everybody is throwing stuff out. Okay. And I want to do my best to answer and engage with as many questions, comments as I can, but I need to be tagged so I know it's for me. Do I think Trump wanted the military merger so he could use treason to go after Obama-Clinton class? In my opinion, it's the only tolerable reason for. Are you talking about the Israel thing? Listen, it's not a merger. That was just nonsense spewed to you by people trying to psyop. I covered it here on my show. It's not a merger. It's a sharing of intel and a sharing of like weaponry and stuff. It's not a merger. That is just crazy. And if you actually read the section in the bill, there's no way it's a merger. So to me, all it was doing was making official. And I'm not saying I like it. Please don't interpret it as this, but I also don't want to say it's something it's not. It was more just making more official what we're already doing with Israel, which is sharing technology and sharing information. And it didn't say we share all technology. So it's not like there's going to be limitations in that. I don't. Part of the thing too is that you guys know that Netanyahu and others have come out and said, like, we're done with, like, we can be done with America's aid to us. And obviously Trump and Vance especially are very in favor of ending that aid to Israel because A, the political firestorm around it now, and B, it's really not that much money. It's $3.3 billion. It's a lot to me and you, but it's not a lot to nations. So to me, it's like, this is a way of keeping the relationship going with Israel that we already have without the way of doing it the way we've been doing it. It's a new way of doing it. That's all. So think midterms are going to be delayed. We'll see. I'm skeptical on that right now. Tag me in the legendary Road Warriors Doomsday Finish. You mean from Mad Max 2? That part's awesome. Why are they not discussing anti-parasitics like fenbendazole and ivermectin timing? I mean, there is some stuff going on in Maha with that, but it might be timing. It might be making sure everything's set up legally in a way that they can actually move it through. Congress is still very skeptical of everything RFK does. So, there's a lot there. Cohen has info on Trump's enemies. Even Trump doesn't know. Cohen worked independently most of the time. Oh, I'm sure he does. Let's see here. Did we already have a troll? Oh my gosh. You work in the department. Okay. Nice try. I'm sure you'll be on my channel if you were working in the State Department and spilling out secrets between us and Israel here on my chat. Your question was, how could we use a merger for our benefit? I mean, sharing intel is always beneficial if they have something, that's all I'll say. And also, listen, Israel is well known for their like technical prowess and stuff. They are very good at creating things. I mean, it's just so stuff like that. Oh man, we're getting a lot of Trump derangement syndrome is very strong on this side. I better leave before I get death threats. What? You mean Trump positivity syndrome? Two trolls, man. They're coming out. Pentecostal provision is with 140. What's that? ZAR. Is that what country is that from? Pentecostal. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Always, if you want to get in question or comments, you can. Moody is on the troll blocking today. She is she's ready to pounce. I love it. Bring them in. It's great. You notice how it almost always happens when I mention Israel or operations behind the scenes, stuff like that. People you'll go nuts. Okay. Good job, Moody. You're doing great. I don't block, I mock, says Dan. I do both because Bob Law says the trolls drive more viewers to you. Well, I don't care about that. I don't want to get viewers by gaming the algorithm. Okay. Oh, South Africa. Thanks, Pentecostal. I appreciate you. Always thinking of your guys' country, praying for you guys. Got a lot going on down there. Thank you for your support. Ami got a new win today. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, guys, trolls, bots, they're not welcome here. Go away. I would rather have a strong community that's legitimate, good people, real people interacting than get a slight 5% boost from engagement from trolls blowing up my chat. That's it. I just, if I'm going to grow my channel, I'm going to grow it the right way. I'm not going to game it. I'm not going to, if you go to most other, and I'm not saying everybody, if you go to most other channels, they allow the trolls and the bots because they want that engagement. I just don't. Not going to play that game. Diane said, channel growing, trolls are showing up more daily, must be over the target. I love it. It does make me happy when they show up. Absolutely. H&M grifters that go away. All right, guys. Well, let's get into it, shall we? I want to start with the what's going on the justice side of things, because we keep finding out crazy things. And it turns out, so we found out just last afternoon, I said that completely wrong. Yesterday afternoon, it came out that the FBI disrupted another terror attack. And I find this fascinating because we've gone into Iran. we were told always we can't do this because A, Russia and China will jump in, they'll start World War III, and B, they have sleeper cells everywhere, and we're going to have all kinds of issues. But then Trump just does it. And what's happened? I mean, there's been a few little small attacks here and they are tragic, absolutely, like the shooting in Austin back in March. But overall, the cleanup has been incredible. How is this happening? How, after all these illegal immigrants came in, did I believe them that there were cells here? Absolutely. But it turns out it looks like the FBI, DHS, even our intel agencies have done a very good job of cleaning it up so we're not getting destroyed. Well, here's the latest, and this one's pretty crazy.
Take care. Thank you. Well, breaking moments ago, the FBI says it disrupted a potential ISIS-inspired terror plot in New York. The agency tells Fox they've arrested a 35-year-old Albany woman accused of plotting to bomb the state capitol and kill lawmakers. According to a criminal complaint, Jessica Bowie pledged allegiance to ISIS and allegedly planned to hide a bomb inside a DoorDash bag, hoping to strike while state senators were meeting. Governor Kathy Hochul expected to speak next hour, where we could get more information about all of this. Sandra.
All right.
Take care.
What's wild about this is then the FBI put this out. So remember, they thwarted the plot at the UFC event back in June. And then we got this one as well. And I'm sure there's been others we haven't heard about, but I've never seen this before. Look at how the FBI gave us the whole breakdown of what they're doing and how they've caught this person. It says, this is from the FBI's rapid response page. It says FBI stopped an alleged ISIS-inspired terrorist attack before it could happen. The alleged target, lawmakers meeting inside New York State Capitol. Allegiance to ISIS recorded in May. First operational contact, July 16th. 5 surveillance recon visits. Materials purchased August 5th. Suspect allegedly planned to use nails as shrapnel. Arrested August 19th while in possession of the device. This is a fascinating timeline. And it tells you how they are doing the work to keep us safe at levels we've never seen before. I mean, yesterday I reported how the crime level is the violent crime level is the lowest it's been in 100 years in America. We're having record declines in just a year. And now we're finding out a little insight into how they're doing it. Now, some might say there's too much surveillance state for me, and I could totally understand that. However, as always, I'll say the tech, we can't control whether or not tech will advance. What we can do is, as society, make sure as a community we're involved so that we keep it in check. This is the good side of tech and surveillance. Says the suspect's stated goal, destroy as much of the building as possible and kill senators while they're meeting. FBI will continue identifying threats, disrupting plots, and stopping terrorists before Americans are harmed. And we get this whole timeline right here. But this stuff is fascinating and it makes you wonder how much more is going on behind the scenes. How many more of these have been stopped? How many more of these got halted before they went forward, et cetera, et cetera. We know that deportations are an all-time high. We know that we are limiting immigration substantially, keeping these people out. We know that we've been arresting criminals at record rates, catching the top 10 list. I think was completely cut. They had to make a new one. This stuff is happening. The Kash Patel FBI, the DOJ under Todd Blanche is doing incredible, incredible work. And this is scary because it tells you that whether or not this was a legitimate attack or a false flag, it tells you they're going for it. They're planning them. But it should also make you feel very good that we're catching them. So far, we haven't had a major attack on our soil despite going after Iran. And that should tell you something. It should tell you that we are in more control than they want you to believe. And by us, I mean the Trump administration and the agencies underneath him. We're in a much better place than we've ever been before. And this is just more proof of that. Well, while the FBI is taking care of things like that, we have continued D-class. And John Solomon this morning gave us a little bit of insight into what could be coming in the next round of D-class drops, which is something we should be getting very excited about because it's clear with all the drop we've been getting, that something is building cases, exposing so that people are more ready for whatever Trump has planned. And then again, ahead of the midterms, that's important as well. Timing is not everything, but it's a lot. And with what Trump's doing, knocking back the globalists worldwide, the City of London system, actually just stabilizing the Middle East, putting China in its place, all that happening as Europe's getting weaker and weaker, the system's getting weaker, and the exposure is going to continue to come. But here's Solomon on some of the latest of what's to come.
That China began penetrating and collecting Americans' voter registration files. They bought some lawfully, they stole some illegally, and they hacked some illegally. They used all three tactics. And they eventually got enough information on 220 million voter registration files. Enough to play mayhem. And the intelligence community saw this in January as being a threat. And by the spring, they realized the threat had become a reality. China had begun. But they didn't tell us. They didn't tell the states. They didn't alert states that were being targeted. And instead, China just kept vacuuming up information. In 2020, it's tens of millions of files in 18 states. By 2023, because no one spoke up, it got to 220 million votes, and we believe in all 50 states. The intelligence community understood China's threat once they had accomplished this. They assessed that once China had a voter registration file, if you could get some of the non-public data that China got, you could go in and vote for me early. And then I would show up in the polls on election day, because maybe I'm an election day voter, and they would tell me, sorry, Mr. Solomon, you can't vote because you already voted. And it would have been China voting for you. China could have gone in and changed your address in the voter file. And you'd show up and say, here's my license. I'm like, sir, you're not at that license. You're registered over here. You can't vote, or the best you can do is vote provisionally, and maybe we will, or maybe we won't count you. And there were other nefarious things that China was in a position to do. Despite knowing what they could do, and despite knowing that they had that large data, they didn't inform the American public until President Trump did.
This is wild. Here's a little bit more of the details on it.
The first vulnerability was that our election counting machines were vulnerable to being hacked by 5 foreign powers. There were 5 foreign powers that had known cyber hacking capabilities that could breach known vulnerabilities on election machines. This is first assessed by the Intelligence Committee in January. The first time the American public learns about it, July 26 from President Trump. The 5 powers are China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and Venezuela. As the year goes on, the concern about those vulnerabilities became more pronounced. Why? Because in September of 2020, about 9 months after the assessment was made that there are machine vulnerabilities, CIA observed Venezuela conducting an experiment where they were able to successfully breach an election counting machine and change the votes. And by the way, change the vote counts without it being detectable in a post-audit or in a post-image review.
Wild.
How did they do that? They had an election machine with ballots and counts on it. As it was working its way up to the vote counting area, a mirror server was created. Somebody sucked the real votes off, placed fake votes in, and then sent them up so that when the audit occurred, the fake votes would be the only ballots you could see. You couldn't see the original ballots as they were casted by that. Now, that was in a controlled environment in Venezuela. It didn't happen during a real election. It happened during election testing. But its significance to the intelligence community was, hey, this isn't hypothetical anymore. Someone figured out a way to do this. And the CIA was extremely concerned about it. But guess what? Our president, our Congress, and the American people didn't get told. And for 6 more years, we went through thinking our machines weren't hackable when they were.
This is so crazy. And it just goes to show, like, we are only, and now many of us who've been paying attention knew some of this, right? We didn't know the nitty gritty details. We were getting reports from whistleblowers and people from the outside and speculations and he said, she said, we saw this, but we knew what our eyes told us, which is that 2020 was impossible to happen the way it happened. And so, you had to parse through what's believable, what's not. These are the actual CIA documents. As this comes out, it's going to wake up more and more people. And again, timing is everything. All of this coming out before the midterms. Now, we're hearing more is coming. And here's the last part I'm going to share from Solomon this morning. this he gives us a little insight into what to expect next.
Soon, very soon, we'll be releasing a fifth vulnerability. That fifth vulnerability will be focused on looking at ways that China has gained influence in a very important political institution and the FBI's knowledge of it, potentially the FBI's complicity in it. And it will raise a lot of questions about not only failing to punish some bad behavior, but also whether the FBI's way of penetrating and stopping China is in some ways flawed. And we'll be able to talk about that in the next couple of weeks as well.
Okay. Any hints? Which institution?
No, but I will say this. We once had a scandal in America in the 90s. I covered it. In fact, I broke the original stories. It was myself and Bob Woodward in the Wall Street Journal about the China fundraising scandal of the 1990s involving Bill Clinton, the Lincoln bedroom, the Buddhist monks. It would be not unsurprising to people to think that China would go back and once again try to inject money into the political system through a particular institution. And so it flows that the Chinese go back and reuse the same tactics. They let a little time pass and they reactivate. And I think given that we know they were targeting voter files, maybe trying to get voter registration votes for Donald Trump or for Joe Biden, it wouldn't surprise me that they also were looking for ways to get money into the U.S. election to influence that election.
Clinton Foundation, anybody? Do you guys remember? I reported this a long time ago, but the money that poured into the Clinton Foundation in the Obama years, it was insane. Hundreds of thousands of dollars from many, many countries, totaling in the millions, poured into the Clinton Foundation during that time, all expecting her to be president, curry those favors. Is that what Solomon is hinting at? He did mention the Clintons. He mentioned them selling to China. Pretty crazy. We find that out, man. It's going to get exciting very, very quick. This is so we need to be paying attention to this. But again, everybody's like, nothing's happening. Dude, stuff is happening. It's coming out as they deem it to have the most impact. This is the third drop of documents, by the way, we've gotten this week. We had FBI docs. We had the whistleblowers that were covering up for Biden, how the FBI covered that up. We've had, I can't remember what the other one was, but regardless, the point is D-class after D-class is happening. It's ramping up very quickly. And this is under Jay Clayton now as ODNI. You notice it didn't slow down since Pulte left. Not since Tulsi left. It's continuing. So we continue to have great people in there making sure stuff's happening. Now, we keep getting, there we go. More action as well as exposure. Recently, the DOJ has announced it's moving to question the Biden FBI officials involved in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Remember the Mar-a-Lago raid where they stormed Trump's house, ran into Barron and Melania's rooms. They came in with guns. They were told you can fire if there's resistance. In other words, it was a setup as well that they could have had permission to kill Trump theoretically. Yeah, they had the kill, the order to kill if they were pushed back upon. Think about how wild things could have gotten. This is, in my estimation, another, let's say, quasi-assassination attempt. It was like open-ended. They set it up, but now we're getting the actual investigation into it. Investigation seeking to confirm Trump was the victim of criminal conspiracy against rights. So Todd Blanche now officially in Attorney General, and we're going to get more action. This keeps happening. Things are spreading, folks. We're going to see our arrests. We're going to see our accountability. It might not be everybody you want it to be. It might not be everybody you think it is, but through the system, Trump is going to get every single person he can. Last week, Todd Blanche made the rounds on all the talk shows. And then what did they ask him? Are you going to be independent of Trump? Or are you going to be independent? He said, no, I'm not independent of the executive. I am part of the executive. In other words, he's basically admitting, I'm going to run the mission the cleanup mission, get all this done. This is huge. The more justice happens, folks, the more it'll roll into more justice. That's how this works. And so this is why I celebrate and share every little thing, because it's all important. It all adds up, and things are happening. I mean, all over the place. We have fentanyl deaths now down 22% since Trump came in. We were seeing nearly 100,000 people die a year from fentanyl. This is being cleaned up. Excellent news. The border success is taking out the cartel's income. This also, I believe, has to do or ties into stopping these plots. See, the cartels were smuggling people in. The cartels are working, as we found out, the way they launder the money and everything. It's exactly how the globalist system works. The City of London shadow banking works. The cartels have all those tools. We know that Venezuela and other countries in South America were CIA-run countries, MI6 countries, where the intel agencies were laundering money through them, trafficking drugs and people through them. The cartels are a big part of that. And I believe what we're finding out, and we're going to find out even more so in a more obvious way down in the future, is that the cartels are all assets. They're assets of the globalist ways. Think about it. The way they operate, the way they degrade us on the border, everything about it speaks like this is how the socialist globalist system works, through proxies, because they're basically terrorists. We see this in the Middle East. This keeps Mexico destabilized all the time, which means we have a completely unstable neighbor right at our border who was harming us significantly through the drugs, through the human trafficking, through the violence, et cetera, et cetera. And that's exactly how they work. So this is hurting them greatly. The fentanyl is drying up. The border closure is hurting them. We've been bombing them, targeting them. We are now working in joint operations with Colombia and several other countries. This is wonderful. Imagine a future not that far off where we could actually travel more, South America, see things, and not have to worry about the violence, where the drug is the people actually pushing them into the country, trying to, several of my family members were affected by this. My brother was a drug addict, thankfully not fentanyl, but it definitely was stuff coming from across the border, and he died early. Everybody has been affected. This should be celebrating this and be very excited about it. But they are losing. The Trump team just making things happen. For everybody's like, no, nothing's happening immigration wise. Well, deportations all-time high, and now July naturalization stats dropped. Only 16,500 people were naturalized in the last month. That's less than 200,000 naturalizations annually. This is the lowest amount of naturalization since Johnson, third lowest since Woodrow Wilson, back when we had major blocks on immigration. I mean, look at this. Look at that right there. Look at Trump 1 versus Trump 2, now that he's more in full control. Folks, we are fixing this immigration problem. It's happening right under our eyes. And so ask yourself why people keep pushing. People keep pushing this narrative that Trump's not fulfilling his promise on the border. It's absolute crazy nonsense. We are getting our country back. Trump is fixing problems we didn't even know we had. And he's fixing the problems we did know we have so comprehensively that we don't give him credit for it. Because as I was hearing somebody explain it the other day, and they did such a good job. They said that we voted for Trump. Think of it as you're a homeowner. You voted for Trump to fix your house. What you didn't know, like you thought he'd come in, maybe knock out a couple walls, put up some new structures, paint it, and everything would be great. But what you didn't know is your plumbing was bad, your electrical is bad, and your foundation was cracked. And so in order to get it fixed, in order to get your house in order, you got to fix those things. And those things aren't sexy. They're not fun. They're miserable. They take time. And that's what Trump's doing. Trump isn't just getting into office and saying, here's stimulus checks so everybody all of a sudden can afford food. No, instead he's saying, I'm fixing everything from the ground up. I'm purging the corruption by cutting off their systems so that when I go after them, finally, when we can go through this with the cases, they don't have another system to replace anybody. I'm cutting off the money. I'm not just sealing the border. I'm cleaning up our entire immigration system. And yeah, some of these things don't have immediate effects. Some of them, the effects are seen over time. Some of them aren't sexy and fun and interesting, and they don't affect you immediately. But over time, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I freaking love this man. He did more for our country than any president in modern history. This is amazing stuff. It's absolutely amazing. And again, one of the ways he's doing this is by fighting the cultural battle. He's winning the cultural battle. We have this. Education department just moved to remove the Bar Association's authority to accredit law schools. The Bar Association is one of the most liberal organizations in our entire country. They have made it so that our entire legal system, think of all these activist judges, think of all the terrible lawyers, our entire legal system, they were going after it to make it this living, breathing, shifting constitution that could be interpreted however you wanted it to be. And that's how they were going to end the Constitution in our country instead, because it's a strong document. It's protected us so much. So, excuse me. So how do you beat it? You don't take it head on. You get judges and lawyers to keep reinterpreting it and changing it. And that's what's their whole goal. And so they were the ones choosing the schools that could create the lawyers. And the education department's removing that. These are long-term changes, folks. Long-term shifts. Important foundational shifts that lead to long-term amazing changes. This is what the Trump administration is doing. This is how he's bringing us justice. So keeping us safe by stopping these people, giving us what we want in terms of what we voted for on the border, and then building the case for the future of how to fix things like our elections and build the cases to go after the corrupt. It's all happening. It's all happening. Every little thing. We voted for this man. He is fulfilling his promises to us. We are getting that justice. And yeah, unfortunately, sometimes justice takes time. But in the meantime, we're already living in a safer society, trending in the right direction. And yeah, by the way, this Trump term isn't even halfway over yet. Wait to see what happens after the midterms. It's going to really ramp up. All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this segment. Next, we're going to get into the economy and then a couple other segments after that. But let me get into the chat and catch up with you peeps. So, SoCal with a $10 donation over on Rumble says, keep up the great work. I'm grateful for you. Thank you very much, SoCal. I appreciate that. Daisy Chains gifted 5 subs on Rumble as well. Thank you, Daisy, for your guys' support. I really appreciate you guys. Every little bit. I appreciate greatly. Let's see here. In the chat, who is tagging me? I see some people are grumpy. Uh-oh. Did I offend you? Did I offend your sensibilities? Not too worried about that, but flock cameras. Oh my gosh, guys. Hey, do you guys ever think about the fact that, and I'm not saying I'm pro flock cameras because I'm not. I am saying, do you ever think about the fact that when something like that is brought up and it's everywhere, that maybe it's not organic? Have you considered that? We find out that almost everything that trends, especially when it seems to come out of nowhere, is a psyop. Almost everything. I'm not saying everything is, but almost everything. The exception is when it's a reaction to something big that's happened. But, and so I'm just asking you guys, why all the attention on flock cameras right now? They've been around a while. Why? Have they really taken over everything? Did just some random person finally notice and it's trending everywhere? Or is there a massive attack on all things tech right now, from data centers to Flock, to get us to believe the lie, and it is a lie, that Trump and his administration are secretly technocrats and trying to institute a surveillance state despite all the fixes they're making? Do you ever stop to think about that? Do you ever? Because listen, the Flock camera matters, but it's certainly not the most important thing right now. Not even close. And so I'm not going to cover it unless it actually matters to what's going on. Kevin Copperland with a $300 super chat. My God, Kevin, you win the day, friend. Oh, wow. That is so generous of you, brother. He says, no more winning. Make it stop. Make the Trump winning stop. It's too much. I can't handle it. We finally reached peak winning. I'm telling you, man, you're the best, Kevin. I mean, there's a lot of people here I'd say are the best, but you are definitely one of them. And I'm so grateful to you, friend. You have been such a huge blessing to me. So thanks, guys. All right, let's keep looking. 34-minute intro. What retard is saying that? I literally just did a segment for the last 30 minutes. Some people are so stupid. But I'm glad you blocked them. Good job. Moody, you're on it today. I'm warning all the bots and trolls out there that Moody is moody today. And she will take you out. She will take you down. Amir Abdullah, I got a question. What do you say to people that say Trump isn't doing enough? My answer to that is I do this show every day. And I show a million things he's doing. Let's see. Can't stop seeing ads for politicians that are anti-AI and Flock. Yeah, it's everything, right? Violence of poetry. Several cops have already been fired, charged misuse of Flock camera as my default position. I don't trust people with power. That's totally fine to take that position. But you also, and that's your job to hold them in check. See, you just answered the problem right there with what you said. Cops have been fired, charged for misuse of Flock cameras. So what does that mean? That means that we are doing the job of holding them accountable for misusing them. Now, maybe we'll get rid of Flock cameras. Maybe we'll adjust them. I don't know. But tech, you cannot stop the advancement of culture and the advancement of technology. It never has happened in history. It never will happen. So what do? We hold the people using it accountable. And you just proved me it's happening. And because that's happening, it makes me worry about it less. Let's see. I don't think awareness of Flock camera is bad. I think the push on them right now is suspicious. Let me put that. And by the way, it's okay to distrust authority. It is. But you also have to recognize that without authority, nothing gets accomplished. So that's important too. The other thing is that we have a role in holding authority accountable. So that's a part of the distrusting authority. The other thing you need to always distrust is media. You need to distrust storylines, distrust trends. Always distrust trends. Always. Because they're almost always being pushed for a reason. When the media reports on something, they report on it for one of two reasons. Number one, they are pushing a narrative and they want you to fall into it. That's number one. And it usually is a narrative to put you into fear so that we fight advancement and we don't allow it. That's number one, which advancement can lead to our freedoms and our safety and our prosperity. The other reason the media reports things is because it's so obvious and big that they can't avoid it. That's the only reason they report anything. So just remember that. Remember that. Janice says, my brother-in-law pointed out to me when I was freaking out Flock cameras, I carry a mobile phone. It could track me and listen to me too. And my outrage was dumb. Yes. Anybody who has a cell phone, especially one of the main ones, Apple, Google, Samsung, you can't really complain. You can't really complain. Dude, we are getting lots of trolls today. I love it. This is so good. This means I'm really on point today. Really on point. You guys have to be watching this show. They are mad today. They're very mad. But yeah, anybody who has a cell phone, they can surveil that in a heartbeat if they want to. So Tricky Vika, what it boils down to is if they're used properly and a correct amount positioned correctly, there's pros. But like any other surveillance too, there's cons. Absolutely. Which is the same with every single technology ever. Freeness says, hot take, flock cameras help with deportations with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Freeness. 100%. In fact, I tell you what, I want flock cameras every 10, 20 feet on that border wall. Put up so many flock cameras that you can't see a flea cross the border without it being zapped. That's what I want. Flock cameras on the border like we've never seen before. Use them for our advantage. I agree with that. Monica says, remember when boomers said cell phones were just personal trackers and sold our kids on them? Gen X remembers. Oh, we won't get into that. No generational warfare here. We are definitely being surveilled, Michael. Absolutely. Flock cameras also work for the good guys too. These are good points. So Bill says over 100 years of British corruption interfering with a country. It's going to take time for President Trump to get our country back. 100%. Yep. Our CIA withheld voter fraud info. Nice. Yep. That's what we're dealing with. Okay. All right, guys, let's get into the next one. You need a flea zapper. J69 user says, all the Antifas were at our Flock Camera City Council meeting debate. They even told me they had DSA connections. I saw them get busted from the city. Well, there you go. Listen to that. Yeah, you know who really hates flock cameras? How about rioters and protesters? The people who wear masks so you can't catch them when they're trashing buildings or beating up innocent white people. How about that? They don't like flock cameras. So listen, again, folks, the flock camera is not a bad or good thing. A flock camera is a tool. Who's using it? That's what's good or bad. I hate, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves in life, is when people point to a technology and say this is evil. I say, no, it's not. Like, a tech is a tech. It's a tool. Who's using it? What are they using it for? That's what's good or evil. Good or evil is all determined in the choices of human beings. Good or evil, a thing cannot be good or evil in and of itself. Okay. I mean, obviously somebody now is going to come up with something really extreme to prove me wrong, but you guys know what I mean. A camera that watches things, that has very good sight, it can't not be evil in and of itself. It's who uses them. Okay. AI, same deal. These things are not, it's like, so listen, that's what we have to be talking about. Okay. And I'm telling you right now, folks, flock cameras, AI, all of it, it's not going away. It's not going away. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it as a community? How are we going to hold these people in check? That's how we stay safe. And what President Trump's doing right now in deregulating, lower taxes, re-upping our rights, 2A, all this stuff, re-upping the Constitution, you know what he's doing? He's keeping us empowered. He's giving the people more power. Well, the more power we have, the more easily we can stand up against corruption and evil of whoever's using these tools. And that's how you need to look at it. Okay. That's the way we win. Let's see here. One of these days, a demon will get back in power. Maybe. And if they do, guess what? We'll have to fight back. Somebody said Gen X is the most ignored generation. Oh, I read that wrong. I thought you said ignorant. I was like, wow, they saved us. They're the ones who voted for Trump, but ignored. Yeah, there's definitely a case to be made there. I would say for sure. Okay. Gen X claims our forgotten truth is we didn't forget you. We stopped listening when you brought up VHS tapes and drinking out of the garden hose for the 4,000th time. Ouch. Okay, we're not going to do the generation fight. I don't want to. Listen, I'm a millennial by my birth date, but I identify way more with Gen X. I was right there on the edge, and I was raised much more like a Gen Xer. So That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I gotta say about that. Like my old Forrest Gump. Okay, let's get into it. We got more to talk about. Again, folks, I love this. I can tell the chat is on it today, and this makes me happy. I love when the chat's going because this is fun. It's fun to go back and forth with the chat. So I'm going to do another segment, but please, guys, don't stop talking. Hit me up with your questions, comments, tag me, super chats guaranteed to be read, all that stuff. Please don't stop. I look forward to getting into it. Moody, have the hammer ready for bots and trolls, but and every other mod. But Shogun, have your samurai sword. But listen, keep it going. This is great. I can tell we're going to have great conversations today. So let me get through a segment and we'll have another conversation after. Chio Sab with a $2 super chat says Katie Wilson of Seattle shut off the cameras. What does it tell you when the far lefties are shutting off the cameras? When Seattle, who had that crazy city within a city ran by Antifa, when they're the ones shutting off the cameras, what does that tell you? Kevin Carlin with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Kevin. Says all those Hollywood documentaries of what? Gen X? What? I'm sorry, Kevin. I missed your connection there. I'm sorry, friend. Please fill it in. You don't have to super chat me, man. You've already given so much. It's up to you, but I'll read your comment anyways. Susan Moncrief with a $10 super chat says, everybody in Trump's admin has had and has a certain part to play. Even Bondi had her part. Job was to find and eliminate the Obama holdovers from the DOJ, not to do the big cases. I actually agree with this. I actually agree with that take. I don't think Bondi was a mistake. I think she was terrible in front of the cameras, and I think she said some dumb things, and I think she made some mistakes. But I also do believe she was brought in to do her main job, which was clean up the DOJ. And I think she succeeded. So that I will say, yeah, I actually agree with that. So Chaz, that's what it was. Chaz was it. So, okay. We good? Sorry, Kevin, on the documentary part. I couldn't remember. I couldn't completely make the connection of what you were talking about, brother. Okay, let's get into this. We had to hear her walk 10 miles in snow uphill both ways. That was way more boomers than Gen X, though, wasn't it? Okay. All right, folks. Well, hey, for everybody's like, well, nothing's happening on the economy. And I get it. I get it. If you're door dashing $20 burritos, you're probably struggling right now. I'm sorry. I know that's a little flippant. People do struggle still. Absolutely. The inflation that hit after COVID has been devastating to many people. Many people are still just trying to catch up to where they were before COVID. That is absolutely a fact. I'm not negating that. However, what I find extremely annoying over and over again is the whole Trump's not doing anything because you haven't gotten your fix this second. I get it. I do. However, that's not how it works. And when you break something so badly, it takes a while to fix it. Trump didn't want to just send out stimulus checks so you could rejoice and be happy and maybe survive a couple more years, only to go back into the cycle all over again and then be worse off than before. That's not what Trump was going to do. What Trump is doing is trying to fix the economy so that we get years of prosperity. What Trump's doing is the Reagan model on steroids. And for those who don't remember, in the 70s, we faced massive inflation, energy crisis, et cetera, et cetera. Jimmy Carter destroyed the economy with some help with Ford before him. But Carter destroyed our economy, and it was awful. And Reagan was hired by the American people to fix the economy. Guess what? His first 2 years were a struggle. They couldn't get it done. And you know what they did to fix it? They upped interest rates into the stratosphere. 15%, 19% people were paying for stuff. It was insane. Buying a house. Sure, your house might have been 75 grand back then, but it had a 17% interest rate on it. That's not easy to deal with, especially in those wages back then. But he was trying to tame the inflation and fix things. Then what did he do? He cut taxes and cut regulations. And you know what? A year and a half after cutting taxes and regulations, what happened to Reagan? He got destroyed in the midterms. His approval rating was 35%. Yeah, it didn't work immediately. The people were pissed, just like they are with Trump now. But then what happened? The economy boomed after that. It kicked in. It kicked in, and we had 20 years of prosperity, even when Clinton tried to kill it. That's what happened. The foundation Reagan built was so strong, 20 years in a row, we were crushing it. Well, what is Trump doing? He's doing the same thing. Cut taxes, cut regulations, but you know what he's also done? Tariffs to protect our jobs here. Investing in our infrastructure here in ways we haven't seen a president do in 100 plus years. He is Reagan on steroids. And yeah, you haven't seen all the results yet. But today we don't have excuses, because in the 80s, if you wanted to find information, you had to go to your library or read the newspaper, and good luck getting good information there. Today, we have the internet, we have X, we can get the information immediately, and we can see that the policies are working. And with just a little bit of patience, we're going to be blowing up soon. We got the news this morning from Bloomberg. Leftist publication hates Trump, forced to report that U.S. business activity is expanding at its fastest pace since 22, roaring it up. What was 22? Well, 22 is the comeback from COVID, so that doesn't even count. That was a gimme. All Biden had to do to grow the economy was say, no more lockdown. No more lockdown. And boom, bounce back. Those numbers were fake. They were juiced within context. The truth is the U.S. business activity is organically growing right now at the fastest rate in a very long time. And guys, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. So Trump is getting it done. Now, he's also getting creative in ways to help us immediately, and not in a stimulus check that's going to give you inflation. He's finding other ways. We talked the other day about how beef is the one food item that just cannot seem to get under control. It's going nuts. But the beef herds are coming back, so it will correct. It's just going to take a little time. However, Trump has found a way to help us right now. Today, I concluded a deal to substantially lower the price of ground beef for working American families. As everyone knows, under Biden, beef prices soared at their fastest rate, and the American beef herd fell to its smallest size in modern history. As we work to rebuild this herd and help our ranchers for the next 90 days, the U.S. will allow up to 300,000 metric tons of product for ground beef to be imported with no out-of-quota tariff. We have a commitment this beef will be sold at 25% below current market prices. This deal will reduce prices for Americans while giving space for our great American beef herd to grow again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. For 3 months, Trump is going to bring in cheap beef. And this might get extended, because now I believe Trump's going to push this until the actual American beef catches up, which could take a little bit. But here's the thing. This is already being attacked. Oh, Trump is bailing on American farmers. He's hurting American farmers. No, he's not. He's undercutting the middlemen. The cabal mafia of beef, big beef, the 4 or 5 major companies that control all of it. These guys are bad news, and most of them are foreigners. Trump's already called on them to lower prices. They didn't do it. So you know what Trump's doing? He's going to undercut them and force them to lower prices. This is why it's 3 months to start, forcing them to make a decision. Are we going to cut our prices? He's forcing them into submission while increasing the herd here. This is how you get a stopgap. This is how you get a stopgap solution until things correct. That's what Trump's doing. And it's, again, another example of how the man is geniusly trying to help the people now while also building for the future. And building for the future, they definitely are. Here's some of the latest breakdown. This is JD Vance. Yesterday, the debt crossed 40 trillion. We talked about it a little bit here. There's a major psyop going on about this, because is the debt an issue? Yeah, it is. Nobody's saying it's not. You'd be stupid if you did. However, is it the issue they make it out to be? As Steve Bannon posted, this is Republic ending. No, it's not. We're not at that point yet. And the Trump administration is the first administration in modern history. You could say Clinton, but it wasn't Clinton who did it. It was the Newt Gingrich Congress that forced Clinton's hand. But this is the first since Clinton that's even dealt with this a little bit. And the Trump team actually has a long-term solution, not a short-term one. Listen to JD Vance breaking it down.
Bondholders. And I'm looking at this as like, look, yourself, you're a VC guy, President Trump, lifelong business guy. Is there anything on the horizon to look at this? Potentially, President Trump was talking about a crypto reserve with Bitcoin and XRP and a few other things. Is there anything on the horizon to start offsetting this?
So there are a couple of things the president has talked about to try to address this problem. First of all, he's talked about a sovereign wealth fund because, as you know, actually the stock market, the equity market has performed a lot better than the bond market. There's a weird way where American taxpayers are getting fleeced because of the very high debt charges. By the way, very high debt charges that started under the Biden administration. This is a crisis that we inherited and I think has gotten better. I'm not saying that everything is fixed, but it has certainly gotten better. Sure. The other thing is that Scott Bessent, the amazing Treasury Secretary, he has had a very discreet plan, of course, supported by the President of the United States, to get the United States to a point where our economy is growing faster than our debt. Mm-hmm. And if you look, we are on track. So even though the debt is too high, even though we inherited this debt bomb from the Biden administration, we actually do have a plan to get the economy growing faster than the debt. And that's the most important thing. The issue that we've had under the Biden administration and what we're still kind of dealing with is that the debt was growing faster than American GDP. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. That's something that we're certainly fixing every single day in the Trump administration. But you know, even though the media doesn't cover this, I'm glad you're asking this question because Scott Bessent is very much on top of it. He knows it's a problem, and he's got the president's empowerment to do something about it.
Well, I mean, we've seen just, I think it's almost 19 trillion of foreign investments over the next 10 years come in under this president. The other thing is, in that same vein, the Clarity Act, okay?
So they're making all kinds of moves. And then I love this from JD. See, now, you know, one of the things JD's been being attacked on by all the neocons and the old school Republicans, they've been saying that he's a socialist. And the reason they're saying that is because what Trump's trying to do is implement, as Promethean Action breaks down so well, the American system, the system that got us here, that built this country for the first 125 years, which wasn't socialist at all, but it also wasn't laissez-faire capitalism, which the libertarians and hardcore old school Republicans want, where free trade was ruining our middle class, where the whole point was profit, profit, profit. The American system is a combination of that capital free market with government investment, not ownership, government investment into the areas that matter most. And so now the latest attack on JD is that he's a socialist. But JD explains very well here what they're actually doing.
I'm very excited because apparently we're either going to do this speech in Middletown or maybe we're just going to visit the facility where my grandfather worked as a welder for close to 40 years at what's now the Cleveland Cliffs Middletown facility, but used to be Armco Steel. And again, it's such a perfect place to talk about what I think is the fundamental message of Donald Trump's economic nationalism, which is rebuilding American industry, rebuilding America's middle class in the process, and making America more self-reliant. Like, we have to stop relying on other people to make our stuff. We have to use American workers, American industry, and American ingenuity to build the products of the future. That steel mill, frankly, wouldn't exist were it not for Donald Trump's steel tariffs from the first administration and the second administration. So it's really a perfect place to drive home this message that American self-reliance really starts with better economic policy in Washington, and that's what we've been trying to do. I'm very excited because...
Why do you think they hate Trump so much? They want you to think it's because he's mean. They want you to think because he's brash, because he thinks from his gut. No. The reason they hate Trump so much is because he's ending their good times. Their good times of getting money for free. Just living that dream, that financialist dream, running their pockets, letting the government line their pockets, pick the winners, cut out the middle class, steal our wealth, farm it overseas so we get cheaper goods. Everybody loses except for the people at the top. They love that system. It's been going very well for them. That's what Trump's ending. That's why we've been taught for 100 years that any government intervention at all is socialism. And I say this as someone who grew up Austrian economist, as someone who grew up with a very libertarian mindset of the markets and how they should be. I was a free trade advocate. You know why? Because all the conservatives were. And I thought that was the right thing to do. I was a staunch laissez-faire, government doesn't intervene at all capitalist. And I was wrong. I was wrong. I've seen the error of my ways. I've seen where that led. I used to be the guy who was like, oh, you know what? You don't like it? Create a better product. I had no idea that you can't create a better, cheaper product when you're competing against people making 5 cents an hour in Malaysia. It's impossible. You can maybe make a better product, but how many people can you sell it to? Not that many, because it's going to be so much more expensive. I had no idea that you can have a capitalist system, but you have to have a protectionist policy around it to protect the people and protect and save your country. That is a sovereign system. It's capitalism, and I'm okay with that but now. I didn't used to be, because folks, too many people are struggling. Too many people were lied to, accepted this because they tried to drug us with iPhones, Netflix, some freebies here and there. Meanwhile, generation after generation was getting poorer and poorer, and the wage gap was growing. And now they dare to tell us, when a president's actually trying to fix this without socialism, without owning these companies and telling them exactly what to do, but yes, infusing a little cash in the direction, yes, creating some protection on the borders. Now they're trying to tell us that this is socialism, when the real socialists are running amok in the Democratic Party and could kill our country if they're allowed to come in, if we don't come behind the people actually trying to fix it. That's what JD Vance is advocating. That's what Trump is doing right now. That's what Scott Bessent's doing. And folks, I got to tell you, when you wake up to how much we've been lied to, it should make you furious, but it should also make you glad that you can see better, see more clearly. History has taught us that this system that they are building is the greatest system of all time. Instituted as soon as our government got up and running in 1781 with the Constitution, all the way through 1913 with the institution of the Fed and the income tax. That system, in just over 100 years, created the most thriving, strongest economic power the world's ever seen by leaps and bounds. So, and that's by the way, nobody back then was calling it socialism, and nobody should now. That other thing was killing us. Thankfully, Trump is rebuilding it. And then, speaking of trust, here comes the hard topic. Data centers. With all that Trump is doing, he's also allowing innovation to occur. And a lot of people are very scared. Trump's pushing data centers hard, even though his base is scared of it. The left is very, very against it. But the base is bought into it too. Something like 20-25% of Americans are okay with data centers, which means it's overwhelmingly unpopular. Trump has come out and said that China is the one pushing this narrative. The real question is, what's going on with them? Well, I can tell you right now that because of this pressure, the Republicans running for office are turning against it. Mike Rogers in Michigan has now said, yeah, I'll back a moratorium. He's trying to get elected. This is spreading. Several Republicans have now made this pledge. We have Greg Abbott in Texas. My directed has halted up to 1,800 data centers. Craig Mauger, update Republicans, U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers endorsing the moratorium. Stacey Garrity releases and attacking Governor Shapiro over data centers in Pennsylvania. Michigan Water, Michigan Land. This is another Republican rep. All coming out against it. Now, here's the problem. Here's what I see. None of these folks are MAGA. Even Abbott, who's done a fairly good job of running Texas as a mostly MAGA person, but he's establishment. He was before MAGA, and then he listened to his base and came in line. But Abbott's more of an establishment guy. I waited them for 9 years. Why this push? Why is this not coming from the actual MAGA candidates understanding what we're doing? Why is the left going so hard against data centers? Here's in the Atlantic. I'd rather risk cancer than see AI move this fast. What does that tell you? Interesting, right? You know, I'm not trying to tell you exactly what to think on data centers, but I am trying to tell you to think. Look at the good and the bad. And again, as I said in another segment, remember, tech itself is not what's bad. It's who's behind them. Tech itself is good or bad depending on how you use it. We have seen data centers lowering property taxes, bringing in energy, lowering energy bills. We don't even know what the future holds yet, how much else the benefits could be, depending on who's in charge. Why is it New York, Seattle, Michigan banning data centers? Oh yeah, and then Texas? That's interesting. That's the only red state so far that's dared to do it as far as I know. Why? This is it very interesting. As Mike Steger writes from Promethean Action, who, by the way, I'll have an interview with him that goes up tomorrow morning. Mike Steger writes, the data center and politics story is worth understanding. It's a story like fracking in 2009. Fracking was going to ruin everything. At a time of extreme blackpilling, data centers have become the perfect boogeyman for 26 in the Dem election agenda. They have no other platform, hate and destruction, so they're pushing this hardcore. Big tech has been criminal for too long to just say, trust us. That's true. Facebook knew it was creating an addictive product for children while at the same time tolerating pedos. But don't get caught in the trap. AI is industrial computing power. If you want America to have industrial strength when we need industrial-sized supercomputing power, that's what this is, with bad marketing calling it artificial. He's exactly right. These are giant servers, and that's it. They're giant server farms and nothing else. But that doesn't solve the utter lack of effective communication and community commitments. The tech lords see the rural areas as roofs to run over. That is also true. And this is why when people are like, you don't take it seriously, the farmland near me got taken up, I say, oh no, I understand that. It's the community's job to hold this in check. It's the community's job to hold them accountable without stopping the progress. President Trump would not be pushing these unless he knew there was a long-term plan that was going to be beneficial for Americans. I believe that 100%. You know why? Because I have 10 years of Trump backing that up. And yeah, I understand that now the narrative is every single time you support any kind of tech at all, you're labeled a technocrat. You're labeled a techno-fascist. You see, Trump's just one of them. He's part of the technocratic class. BS. It's retardation to believe that. The technocrats rule Europe. Go look at what life's like over there. Trump is breaking that system. He's giving us sovereignty. And yet, at the same time, he's allowing tech innovation. Both and. You can have it both ways. If you empower the people and alert the people so that they take responsibility to make sure the tools are in the right place. Some are like, well, let's just ban everything. Okay, fine. Let's follow that to its logical conclusion. Every piece of tech that's ever had a negative component, let's ban. Okay. Cell phones, banned. Some are like, yeah, let's do that. Okay. Refrigeration, banned. Electricity, banned. Because guess what? Those things have been used for evil. The internet, banned. It's been used for evil. Or we could just say, hey, we understand tech is a thing. Who's behind it matters. You know what's good has come of? Talk about electricity, the good that's come of it, the good that's come of refrigeration, the good that can come out of cell phones. There is a lot. It matters what you do with it. Coastal arrogance meets pissed off Americans who fix the grid after a major storm, repair the busted sewer main, and grow most of the food. People who know how the real world works. Yes, the technocrats don't understand that. It's true. This election is going to be messy and no state's going to be like any other, but no American should be black-pilled into doom, either by AI tech garks, liberal TDSers, or crunchy con conspiracy theorists. Technology is how America advances, but it has to be done smart. Amen. And that's how you do it, folks. It is up to the people, the community. It's up to us to vote in the right people. It's us to call out when stuff's being nonsense. It's us to gather, to unify, to fight against excesses, to fight against corruption. Absolutely. That's our job. People, you want the government to be of the people, by the people, for the people? You want that? You want that? If you want it, then be a part of it. Then be a part of the solution, because the only way this great American experiment works is if we're all doing our part. And that means being involved. Sorry, if you want to be a part of this community, you don't get to just go disappear and then complain about everything. That's not how it works. Show up, be part of the solution. And if we all do that, we're not going to have issues with data centers. And they could bring lower property taxes, investment into our communities, lower energy prices, fixing the grid, etc., etc. The wealth and opportunity from data centers is immense. The concerns about data centers are mostly bunk, but there is true ones. There are real concerns. Taking up bad land, maybe taking advantage of a community. Those are all possibilities, and we got to fight those. And they're worth the fight, because the benefits could be enormous. And that's why Trump's pushing them. And it's all part of building this economy where for the first time in 50, 60 years, we're being allowed to fully innovate and move forward in a new direction. And yeah, I get it. It's a little scary. It's a little scary. But you know what? It's working. And if you want a real economy as good as you could possibly have it, all those dreams come true for your vote, have a better life, more money in your pocket, being able to afford better things, you're going to have to allow for innovation. It's just the facts. And so it's our job to monitor as it goes forward. And we're going to have to trust some people along the way, even if it's scary. That's how it's going to work out, folks. But the future can be very bright if we do. Okay. Hit that like and subscribe, folks. I saw a few super chats come in. I want to hit those up, and then I'll get to the other chats as well. But first, super chats. Let's see. $10 from Kevin Copperland said, I mean, surveillance state or any Hollywood movie idea seems to be more confession than entertainment. That's absolutely right. I do believe that a lot of Hollywood movies and stuff are confession or plans of what they plan. So there is a belief in this, in the satanic cabal beliefs, that they have to tell you what they're going to do in order to cleanse themselves when they do it. It's a weird belief, but it's true. Chio Sab with a $5 super chat. By the way, thank you, Kevin, again. You're super generous, brother. Chio Sab with a $5 super chat says, every so often, Stop and Shop runs a sale on grass-fed New York steaks and sirloin from Nature's Promise for like $6 or $7 a steak, and we stack it up for you. What? I want to go there. $7 a steak? Dude, New York? That's awesome. Kevin with a $20 super chat says, put the mask on your own mouth first, then help more. Yeah, take care of yourself, right? Yeah, you have to. That's what they say in the airplanes. Chio Zab with a $5 super chat says, I'd rather have AI controlled by an American than China. As long as we don't get another Democrat who sells our data like Biden, we should be okay. Exactly. And you know what? Even if we get a Democrat, not in 28, but say down the road when we've advanced a little further in the right direction, if we get a Democrat, you know what's going to happen? They won't be able to ruin everything that's been done. We will fight back, we will overcome, and we'll survive, because that's who we are as Americans. We've proven we're not going to let them take over. Man, 2 more trolls. Moody, you are busy today. You are busy today. Mason Hawkins wrote this troll, I'm okay with Israel getting more money than veterans. Dude, do you understand how absolutely retarded you are for saying that? It seems like Steve May might have been on the good side, so we can bring him back. Or maybe you just give him a small timeout. But yeah, dude, Israel gets $3.3 billion a year from us. Okay. So how much do we spend on veterans? How much does the U.S. government spend on veterans annually? $161 billion. So I don't know about you guys. I'm not good at math, but I think 161 billion is a lot better than is a lot more than 3 billion, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Is my math off? My God, people are absolutely retarded. Israel makes you retarded. They need to watch that video of the Israel derangement syndrome, because that's insane. Oh my God, man, lots of trolls today though, so it must be on the right spot. Down for a MySpace data center tow? I'd love to have MySpace back. MySpace was awesome. I loved MySpace when it was decent. Actually, funny story. I met my wife on MySpace. Her and I talked on MySpace and got to know each other, and that's where we fell in love. Isn't that weird? Yeah, I'm one of those weird internet daters. And then we started talking on the phone and got stuck there. And the rest is history. Now we're about to be 18 years this fall, or this winter. Let's see here. Doge says, don't get me wrong, it's not mud technocrats. Technocrats were all American. It's communist globalist banksters, not the technocrats nobody heard of. Well, I mean, yeah, but again, the point still stands, right? People are terrified. What those globalist banksters institute in EU is a technocracy. Let me put it that way. Okay. Yeah. Do I think Democrats would do anything about it? No, Democrats would make it worse and they'd give them actual control over us. It's the Democrats, by the way, who enabled and allowed the entire censorship program that kicked so many people off YouTube and Facebook and X. That was the Democrats. That's technocracy. Okay. All right. 20 years. Congrats on you guys. Can I scroll up and see if I find your question, Lil Roo? Let me see here. It might have already disappeared into the ether. Sometimes, see, it doesn't let me see every chat ever. It cuts them off at some point going backwards. So Lil Roo, if you got a question, just write again. All right. Doge says, that's the point. EU is not a technocracy. It's not a merit-based system, which is what technocracy is. Well, to quote Office Space, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and kind of disagree with you there. No, it's absolutely a merit-based system. It's just they don't do it in a way that looks like what people expect it to look like. But look at what's happening in England right now, the UK, where people are getting banned and imprisoned left and right for what they're saying on social media. That's a technocracy. That is a merit-based system in a way. So yeah, if you don't think they're like monitoring everybody and making decisions upon people in Europe, I don't agree with that. I think they are. They're just maybe not doing it as overtly as you would expect, but that they definitely are making it so that you're controlled by tech. Lil Rose says, I was going off topic and asking about Melania taking a position at the UN. I don't think Melania would be taking a permanent position. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen this story, but I do know she is at the UN. She's been working to get Ukrainian and Russian kids reunited with their families. And so I imagine it probably has something to do with that. I don't think there's any way she would take a permanent position. Rory, I accepted by some random dude on Facebook when I first started a long time ago. I thought it was like MySpace. I had no clue who Zuck was. Well, I don't think any of us did back then. Monica says, my energy bill dropped in half and my property tax dropped even with stable housing supply. It's a data center attack. Are you serious? Did that really happen? That's amazing. Good for you. Okay, Doge. I think I finally understand what you're telling me. Okay, I think I finally understand what you're saying. You're saying that our American tech guys, tech bros, are not technocrats. Is that your point you're making? I would agree with that. I don't think Elon's a technocrat. I don't think what's his fame? Oh God, my brain is just. I'm losing the name. Mark Andreessen. Mark Andreessen's a technocrat. So. I would agree with that. But here's what I'm trying to get to, Doge, is the point is this: the psyop is that any technology, any tech person anybody running a tech company is a technocrat, and by working with them, you're promoting a technocracy. This is what they trying to get us to believe about Trump, about JD Vance, etc. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So you could say technocrat's not a bad word. Well, it wasn't, but it is now, and like, you're not going to be able to go back from that. Everybody looks at technocrat as a bad word now, and by everybody I mean the average person. So we have to meet the people where they're at and understand what you're saying. But communists are anti-tech. They're anti-tech for the people. They're not anti-tech for them. That, you know, for the centralization. Okay, but I think I finally understand what you were trying to say. J-Bone says, if data center gives a struggling farmer a better life, so be it. I mean, that's true. That's the farmer's choice, right? If they sell the land, but I'm not in favor of the government taking the land. I'm not in favor of that. J-Bone, thank you for that. And thank you for the other $10 super chat where he says, I don't like the argument of ruining farmlands. I get it. Farms are failing. Many farms are vacant, non-productive land because of our past. I totally understand that. But there have been some that have been taken, or maybe it wasn't even known that they were up for sale. And, maybe somebody would want to go and make it a farmland. I'm saying, like, let's not give it good land. There's probably plenty of area. Listen, have you been to Texas? Texas has millions and millions and millions of acres of basically unusable land. Arizona, New Mexico, the desert land, we could put data centers up and down all there all freaking day. There's swampland you could convert. There's so many places we could put data centers that are already ugly places. Let's not put them in beautiful places. Let's not put them in usable land. And I think everybody could get along with that, you know? Alex Jones made technocrat a bad word. Wow. You mean Alex Jones pushed a psyop? What? I never knew. I love it. Monica says, yeah, I figured that out yesterday with the help of chat. These three things did not connect for me personally. Oh, wow. Wow. That's cool. That's cool. This is working. All data centers will be using small modular nuclear reactors. Maybe down the road eventually. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Data centers are building their own power plants. Excess energy goes back to the grid, lowers prices 100%. And they can be used to fix the grid, you know? So Joshua says there's so much land in the U.S., only 5% is developed. I don't believe it's a real issue. I actually agree with that. But I will say this, there's a lot of that land that's technically unusable, mountaintop. So, you know, let's say out of all land in America, how much of it's usable for anything? 70%, 75%. Like, so you got to factor that in too. Chiosep says, take the land China bought from us and use that. I love this idea so much. Chio, we need to get that up to Trump. Thank you for the super chat, friend. I see Tucker's now a Trump assassination denier. I don't doubt it. I haven't seen that yet, but data centers where they're building transformers. Yeah. I don't think being a technocrat makes you a bad person. It's become a bad word, and it's a word people understand when I say it for the reason I'm using it. But technocracy is definitely bad, and that's the thing that we're being warned of by people like Whitney Webb, who, again, every single advancement we make in tech is suddenly proof that Trump is trying to turn us into technocracy. This is what they're using against JD Vance. This is what they start with JD Vance, the whole Peter Thiel argument. So, Monica, convinced land Chinese bought for farming is radioactive because military bases did so many. I mean, that would be crazy, right? Okay. No data center will ever match the ugly of Obama's library. That's absolutely true. Angela says, here in Cali, I'd rather see data centers and windmills and solar panel farms. I agree with that. Listen, I lived in Cali for 30 years. Driving from Sonora, where I grew up, to San Francisco, and you went through the area with all the windmills on all the hills. It's like the ugliest thing you've ever seen. It's so disgusting. And that was were pretty hills before that. So yeah, it's gross. It's gross. Okay. I love the chat is on fire today, guys. The chat is on fire. So Doge asks, what is technocracy? Okay. Doge, I'm going to explain. I'm not saying this is the official like if you go look it up in Merriam-Webster or Google, I'm not saying this is the official definition, but this is the definition that the psyopers, the scared people, this is what they mean by technocracy. Okay, you ready? What they mean by technocracy is a globalist cabal banker system, the elites, for another term, using technology to control us, to monitor us, surveil us, put us on a social credit score, all that. Basically institute communism using technology. 15-minute cities, et cetera, taking away our agency and freedom with tech. That is what is meant by technocracy, not to you, not in the absolute perfect definition, but when Whitney Webb says it, that's what she means. When people who are afraid of it say it, that's what they mean. Okay? That's what I want to, so I hope that helps. Don't know why they don't put data centers in some of these decimated downtown areas. Could bring back jobs. They're using, they're trying to in some places. They are. So, missed my Gen X toy mention. Millennials, right? All right. The CCP is a great example of a technocracy in its modern sense. Okay. All right. We got to keep moving. Great discussion. Thanks, Doge, for challenging me in an honorable way. Okay. Great discussion. Okay. Let's move on, though. We need to talk about Iran. This is going to be a short segment, but it's important. Okay. This week, we've had major movements in Iran, and it's not the kind of movements where like it's explosive and people are talking about it. CNN's reporting it, although there's a little bit. The thing is, though, this was the week the narrative changed. And that's actually very important. And why is it important? It's important because before this, the mainstream media, the podcasters, all of them, everything was about how we were losing. We were losing. This was an absolute mistake. We have no way to get anything back. Iran, even though it's obliterated, has all the leverage. It was a crazy psyop. I've been breaking it since day one. However, that was what's getting out there. This week, it all shifted. As CNN, Axios, many other places started to report that we control the strait. We are getting stuff through. Iran is collapsing economically. That all changed this week. And then we had Trump drop, after all these stories started coming out, the economic D-Day post, where he admitted openly, we are going after every single country that has anything to do with helping Iran, which happens to be the globalist system, the City of London system, the Davos crowd. That was a major shockwave. So you could say that this is the week where the winning in Iran became so obvious that now it's becoming the narrative. And that's a big deal. And Trump, asked about it, had this to say, and I got to tell you, he's being validated left and right.
With Iran, they will never have a nuclear weapon. We're essentially controlling, and soon controlling the straits. We're doing very well with Iran. The press doesn't like to say that, although a lot of the press does say it, because the Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, the leadership is gone. Part of the problem is so many of the leaders are gone, it's not easy to make a deal. Nobody knows who's leading. But I think the public sees what we're doing because Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. And I think the public sees it, and I think they appreciate it and they respect it. And I tell them they'll be a little higher for your energy costs, but they'll be a little bit higher for gasoline. I had it down to $1.85 a barrel. And then I said, but we have to make a journey to the Middle East because we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And that's what happened. And we've been very effective. We've wiped them out, militarily wiped out. Now they have some missiles. They have some drones. Their capacity to build them is very low right now compared to what it was 5 months ago. 5 months ago, they were knocking them out. Now it's very hard for them to knock out anything. They're in bad shape. They have inflation that's 300%. They're Their currency is valueless. It's virtually valueless. Their military is not being paid. And so they're in bad shape. But the key, the reason I did it, and we had no choice, and I would have done it again 100 times, they cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't be having a nuclear weapon.
He knocks on the whole nuclear weapon bit again, because we were told last week, they tried to run a psyop, that Trump doesn't care about the nukes anymore. He just cares about opening up the strait. And then this week they're forced to report that it's open. What was interesting there, though, is this. The other report has been that Trump realized he made a mistake, but then he had to double down because we got bad information because Israel tricked us to going into there. But that's not what Trump's saying. He's saying, I would have done this 100 times out of 100. You cannot, in his mind, you cannot debate that what we did was positive. And now he's being validated. It's a beautiful thing to see. Now, J.D. Vance had a little bit of insight into just how well things are going in the Strait of Hormuz.
We've made a ton of progress on this. Of course, a lot of people aren't covering this, but even as the Iranians are trying to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, we're getting out some days 15 million barrels, some days 7 million barrels. We are actually preventing an energy crisis that the Iranians are trying to create. That obviously is good for our people. Oil prices are much lower than they were at the height of Operation Epic Fury. And we're going to, do everything that we can, obviously, to give more relief to American consumers. But at the same time, it also shows that the Iranians don't have this ability to choke off international trade, which reduces their leverage. So the point here is we've got a lot of tools in the toolkit. Sometimes you've got to use the economic tools. That's what the president is focused on right now. Sometimes you've got to use the military tools. We've made a ton of progress on.
Does that sound a guy like who disagreed with Trump? They've been trying to split Vance against Trump over this issue the whole time. And meanwhile, he hasn't said one thing against this operation at all. Say, we have full control of the strait. 15 million barrels getting through some days. The average is up to 9 million a day. That's insane. They lost it. We've won it all. We've won it. And now it's only just about playing out. And the crazy thing is that we didn't have to wait till next year to hear it. The media is now being forced to report it. It's huge. And then you hear what's coming on the ground. And I think we're about to get an epic win based on what we're hearing from on the ground. So significant statements from Tehran today point to a growing recognition around Iranian leadership of the severity of the economic situation, the erosion of Iran's ability to use the strait as a leverage in light of U.S. military gains in opening a corridor through the strait. What Trump has done is choked Iran out to the point where they're humiliated. They don't know what to do. They thought that they could keep the strait going as an issue, as leverage this whole time. Now that they've lost that, the reality is starting to hit. They're insane. They pushed as long as they can. The other thing, though, is that now that Trump's declared D-Day on the whole system, everything that was even sneaking through, there's going to be a lot of countries thinking twice, 3 times, 10 times before trying to help Iran again. It's desperation time for them. They're alone. They're absolutely alone, and they know it. And remember last week when we all laughed as Iran was boasting, you have 3 to 4 weeks before we attack. Fox News was reporting they've just put bounties on American soldiers. And now we're hearing they're just absolutely freaking out. They can't do anything. Sorry, whatever happened to the hypersonic super duper secret missiles underground that were going to be unleashed? When they're ready, they're waiting. You know what I love? Sometimes it gets me into trouble. But early in March, when this was all going on, they were first reporting the hypersonic super duper secret missiles they were going to unleash from Douglas McGregor, Scott Ritter, the died suddenly page, all these people saying that we are screwed. Iran's going to kick our butts. And we laughed at them back in March. I love being able to see through PSYOPs because we called it back then. I'm sure there's other people who knew, but I was willing to say it. And look, we've been proven right. So that's a kudos to you guys for watching me back then and seeing it all play out. But we've been proven right in Iran about pretty much everything. and the rest is TBD, to be decided. President Pezeshkian stressed that the government does not deny the shortages and would be better to end the war now, while Iran's in a position of strength and dignity and the entire world recognizes its victory. Now that's hilarious how they're spinning it if they decide to give in. Maj Speaker Kalibev stated, no matter how much military power Iran possesses, if people are hungry, it won't be able to endure. Nevertheless, there's still no indication Iran's prepared to show flexibility and return without preconditions. They're going to let it all fall apart. And then the people will take over. I'm believing that's coming soon. So they're putting their foot down even though they know how bad it is. Now, Ida Turan is also getting some insights from inside Iran. It says what Trump's doing is essentially a modern day siege. Oh, just like we've been saying this whole time. For Iranians or anyone familiar with Iran history, there's a hopeful note in this. History does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Hey, I say that all the time. You stole my saying. That rhyme points to one clear message. The end of the current regime is very near. Iran was not Shia until the early 16th century. Population was overwhelmingly Sunni. In 1501, Shah Ismail I of the Safavid, I can't say that, dynasty declared Twelver Shiism the official state religion, forced the conversion by the sword. Because there was almost no native scholars in Iran, the Safavids had to import them from Lebanon, blah, blah, blah. This was done purely for political reasons. Many of the core stories, rituals, customs of official Shiism were not ancient traditions fabricated and created in those days. Blah, blah, blah. But let's skip to here. Over the years, the dynasty slid into corruption and decay. The main reason was rising power of Shia clerical class, rigid, superstitious, and self-interested mullahs who gained more and more control. In the end, a force of Afghan rebels under Mahmud Hataki laid siege to the capital Isfahan in 1722. After months of starvation and hardship, the ruler, Shah Sultan Hussein, surrendered. Safavid dynasty collapsed. Iranians today see clear parallels between the Safavid decay and the current clerical regime in Tehran, a siege that brings the end of the mullah's rule as a rhyme of history. In other words, the people are looking at their history in Iran and saying, oh, we like what we're seeing. This could be the end of this rule 2.0. And that means, folks, we might be getting closer and closer to seeing an actual rising up of the people. And you know that the globalists have pretty much given up. They've pretty much left Iran alone, which is probably another reason why we're starting to get the media reporting that we're winning, because they know their handlers have been pulled off, said, listen, let it go. And so now they're starting to report the truth. And one of the reasons I believe this is happening is because all of a sudden there's major focus on Russia again. Here's Ursula von der Leyen, or Ursula von der Satan, as Tom Luongo calls her, leader of the EU, saying today, Romania destroyed a naval drone carrying explosives near its Neptune deep platform in the Black Sea. An escalating campaign of threats is underway, unsettling our citizens and seeking to divide our union. This is hybrid warfare. The founding mission of our union is preserve peace. Today, that also means having capacity to deter provocation, aggression. Our readiness agenda is mobilizing up to 800 billion euros. With the European Drone Defense Initiative and Eastern Flank Watch, we're scaling up protection in Europe to deliver capabilities member states need so we can respond to emerging threats with speed, unity, and resolve. That, to me, folks, along with the drills they're running in the northern seas right now, tells me that they are about to ramp up an attack on Russia, or at least try to goad Russia into an attack. See, they have won for the longest time. Destabilization and war has been the engine of their economies. It's been the agent for which they utilize their control. They get their grip into things. They move their system. They steal resources. They set up proxies. It's all through this warfare. Pretty much wholly unjustified most of the time. They're losing Iran. They're losing their hold on the Middle East. The shipping control is gone. The ability to manipulate the oil markets is gone. The ability to destabilize the Middle East through proxy terrorist groups is now gone as Iran is falling and broke. So what are they doing? They can't win down there. Trump has got a firm iron grip on it. Even CNN and Axios are reporting that. So what do? We have one final option. We got to get Russia into war. And so this is what we need to be praying about, folks. This is what we need to be looking out for, praying that the Trump administration can completely navigate this and make sure it doesn't happen. Pray that President Putin is smart and stays patient, doesn't get goaded into a mistake. Because if they are able to get an excuse to launch NATO into full-on war with Russia, it's going to get really ugly before it gets better. And we can avoid it. And I believe Trump's already avoided many, many terrible things that would have happened if not for him. But this is a big threat. And by the way, it'll probably be they're all in because they don't have anything else after. This is their last chance. This, along with whatever they might try to do in the markets if they can. But if they're unable to pull this off, I think we're going to be seeing the complete fall of the City of London globalist Davos system as a major force in the world. And then they're just going to be stuck in Europe with those poor citizens who need to wake up fast. But regardless, it's a sign we are winning. The Trump administration's winning. Their plans, their strategies are working because we're seeing real panic from our real enemies, let's be honest. And so that gives me great confidence, but we got to pray that as little damage is done moving forward as possible before we get the bigger wins. So, all right, folks, please hit that like and subscribe. Next, we got the Grifter Report. We're getting into it. We're going to have some fun. You know I'm starting with an Ami clip, and you don't want to miss that. So hang in there. It's coming. It's coming. In fact, I'm going to leave it up to tease it while I get into the chat here. So, all right, questions, comments, angry, whatever you got. Let's see. Column Rock Talks with a $5 super chat says a nuclear Iran is the equivalent of North Korea capable of holding economic choke point hostage, massive foreign policy blunder. If Iran is nuclear, I completely agree with you. And I think Trump knows that in so many ways, which is why he did what he did. Vituperation says, you don't think Ukraine would send drones into another country disguised as Russia to provoke another country to fight against? I do. I absolutely think that's a possibility. Yeah. Doc, no, you put Tucker's latest assassination claim in the Discord main channel? Okay, I'll look that up. Let me see here real quick. Guys, if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. We've had over 1,000 people watching most of today, so it would be awesome if we could hit 1,000 likes before this is over. If you don't mind, let's see here. You know what? That is very interesting, but I'm going to save that for next week. But thank you, Doc. No, I put it on my Twitter page so I can find it. I'm going to save it for next week because I already have the flow of today's segment. Comedy Central next. Doge says Trump stepped on all three of the World War III potential pop-off points: British, City of London, and Big Mad. I like that. That's very true. That is very true. I think once Iran is fully finished, we're going to see something incredible. Trump's going to pull off something with Russia, Ukraine. I really do. El Dunarino says, I'm in 99% agreement. Great piece. I want to accentuate that the Russian drone thing into Romania may be actually serious. I'm not negating that it's serious. I'm saying that they are looking to use it for something that probably isn't justified. Doc knows this fat electrician is right. Europeans are overly grumpy because they lack AC. They need to get AC. Dude, did you guys see? I got to show you this story because it's crazy. All the deaths from air conditioning in Europe this year. France has recorded over 7,300 excess deaths during heat waves this year. Nearly 10,000 people in Germany have died due to heat-related causes. The heck is going on over there? It's not even that hot. It's like in the 90s. Like they don't... I mean, are Europeans just this weak? But it's also insane that they won't use AC. I mean, come on, folks. That is... that's the communist system there, folks. Withhold innovation from the people. and they suffer as a result. Yeah, but aliens and nuclear weapons. You guys crack me up. Yeah, they won't spend $200 billion to upgrade their building. They don't have the money either, you know? Bro, I'm in Florida, says my power. Well, you probably have AC though. They get told to save electricity and all that and kills them. Yeah, they're like, hey, save the climate, kill yourself. Isn't that crazy? And this is Matt Morris actually shared this. Said more people in France died this year from not having air conditioning than American deaths from mass shootings in all of recorded U.S. history. That is insane. That's insane. Dennis says electricity is so expensive, people can't afford it. I know. Listen, I believe you. It's all by design. And I don't mean to laugh because it is terrible, but I'm just laughing at the audacity of it, at the sheer shock of it. It's absolutely insane that this is allowed to happen in what's supposed to be first world countries. I mean, look at this. Like, this is AC penetration, relative heat deaths. This absolutely insane. So crazy. $110's a nice summer day here, says Angel. Where do you live? Florida? Listen, Texas, 100 degrees was normal and miserable. Great Cornholio, flock cameras are installed by your local law enforcement. They aren't something being installed by federal government. You talk to your local. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Taxes on electricity are more than the cost of electricity. It's so crazy. This is so crazy what Europeans put up with. I do not understand it. I don't understand how a European person is okay with this and is accepting of it. It blows my mind. In America, that wouldn't fly for a week. You cut off RAC here in America, we would take over the government. It would be a revolution by day 10. That's exactly what would happen. If there was some diktat, say Texas. Well, no, we won't even say Texas because Texas is way hotter than France or Germany. So let's say, what's a good comparison? Like climate wise, let's say South Dakota. Okay. South Dakota all of a sudden declared no more AC. If you use AC, you're being taxed 300%. You know, we're done. By day 10, that government would be overrun. There would be people on the Capitol with AK-47s and shotguns. It would just be like, nope, we're not doing this. Like that. And so, and I don't know if Europeans understand like the American mindset, but you don't do that. You do not do that. And like, so for Europeans to just accept it, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I just don't understand how anybody could be that brainwashed. In America, if you took away the air conditioning, half of the liberals would become conservative in 10 days. That's like, you don't mess with our air conditioning. It's a dry heat. That's so funny. Yeah, my point, guys, is just that I don't even understand how Europeans accept it, knowing that there's an alternative. So that's crazy. Deuterino says, I got water my lawn. I water my lawn 17 times a day and run my AC at night because I'm an American. I love it. What a patriot. That's so funny. Yeah, if you took off the air conditioning in California, it would be a red state by tomorrow. That is so crazy to me. I just don't understand. Anyways, I know they did take away gas stoves, but that's still not the same as air conditioning. You can last, you can make it work without a wood stove for a while because there's other options. But I get the price of electricity is high, but still, air conditioning is white privilege. Ugly Americans. Yeah. I'm sure it was the Jews. The Jews took away their AC. Okay. You guys ready? It is Grifter Report time. It's time to get into it. We're doing this. So, you ready? All right, guys. Well, hey, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in Grifterland, Fagaville, Podcastistan lately. One of them is the upping up of the insanity. And I've been covering all week some of the crazy narratives being spewed out there. Alex Jones has been a frequent visitor. Tucker Carlson's been going off the rails. And obviously we had the Candace Andrew Wilson debate. So there's a lot of focus and a lot of attention on the Podcastistan land this last week. So as always, I believe it's important to turn to Ami for the truth and how to perceive these people. So I'm going to let Ami kick it off for us today with his latest on Tucker Carlson.
And then you look at what's going on in Spain, and then you say to yourself, oh, maybe mass migration is used as a weapon. Well, of course it is. It always has been and always will be. I mean, when I was in middle school, I remember I got into a fight with a Jewish boy, and he used an immigrant as a weapon. That's right.
Hold on a second. That's not there. First of all, the inflections are amazing. The way he does all this, he talks just like him, but the Jewish boy using an immigrant as a weapon. I can't. Sometimes I have to stop so I can actually hear the rest. And just so you guys know, I watched this the first time with you guys because I want the full effect of hearing the jokes with you as we watch.
There's a small little Mexican man named Jesus. He took him and he swung him. He did. He swung him at me several times, actually.
He did.
Like a lot. And thankfully he missed, but you could hear him. Got you. So he tried to use a Mexican immigrant. Now, after I was attacked by this student who happened to be Jewish, and I love Jewish people, I do. There were claw marks, and I remember that. Haven't forgotten it. And you shouldn't either. Whiny bitch. So he tried to use a Mexican immigrant, tried to use him as a weapon. And this, of course, happens repeatedly today, as we know this. Israel continues to use immigrants as weapons. We look at World War II, the Allied forces, so-called Allied forces, they bombed Dresden using immigrants. They dropped a lot of Mexicans on Dresden. You know that we do. A lot of people were killed. They were murdered. They were. That was, of course, until they started using atomic weapons, nuclear weapons, which were not invented by people. Like, I don't believe that. I never have believed that for a second. That atomic weapons and the atom bomb was invented by a person. It wasn't. It was invented by an alien, maybe from Mars or even Saturn or Spain. They weren't invented by human beings. They were invented by demons. And when I was molested by a demon in my sleep, I could feel its warhead going off in what looked like a mushroom cloud in my bed. Oh, I do remember that. I do. And even my dogs were like, that's a demon and that's an atomic bomb. And so you look back on World War and death and murder and the use of immigrants as weapons, which was disgusting. It was. And immediately you're called a Nazi, an anti-Semite. Oh, shut up, Nazi! And so you look back at World War II and you look back at the outcomes of World War II and you ask yourself, are we better off? Using immigrants as weapons, whether you're a school bully or you're a military, we don't do that. And I say that as a man, as a white person, as a Christian. I really believe that. And atomic weapons were not made by people. People aren't real. Nothing is real. What is this? Are we in a simulation? I don't know.
You okay?
Is there anything else? What are we doing here?
Just keep riffing.
Did Erica text me back?
I don't see anything.
No.
Yeah, no response.
Nothing?
Yeah, sorry. Still unread, actually.
Okay. Megan?
Oh, yeah. Right away.
Of course.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. This is what, I mean, at the end there is so true, too. I'm just riffing. It's so true. How much of this stuff do they just make up? And in case you missed it, Tucker Carlson legitimately did say this last week that the nuclear bombs, that the Manhattan Project was not created by people. Yeah, he actually said those words. This man has lost his freaking mind. And so thank God. I mean, I do my own Tucker impersonation. It's not 1/10 as good as Ami's. I mean, that's just unbelievable stuff. And that's what these people deserve. Why do they deserve it? Because they do stuff like this. Here is Robert Barnes on Alex Jones. What is he saying? I'm not going to play it because he's retarded. And it's like, but Barnes continues to be one of the worst. He's not as big as the others, but man, he sure loves making the rounds, going on Alex, going on Megan. It says the American president is seriously considering using nukes in Iran, warns constitutional attorney Robert Barnes. Here we go again, pushing this whole Marjorie Taylor Greene nonsense that she started earlier in the week. This stuff is so stupid, and yet people are watching it. 300,000 views. Now, I'm pretty sure 200,000 of those are watching it to laugh and mock him, but still, this is crazy. We're in probably the most dangerous period we've been in during Trump's presidency since April, when he was talking about nukes to end their civilization. People didn't think that's what he was talking about. It is what he was talking about. What? What? How's that even make sense? They don't think that's what he's talking about? It is? Well, just so we know, I think it's very important to trust your sources and verify your sources and make sure we know if we can trust these people. Well, so I decided to, share these prior forecasts of Robert Barnes, just so we know how accurate this man actually is. Well, he forecasted 100,000 votes and Massey would win. Massey lost by 10 points. I don't see Roe ever being fully overturned, even with 2 to 3 more Trump appointees. Roe v. Wade was overturned during the Biden administration thanks to Trump appointees. Robert Barnes, civil war may soon come to Venezuela. The Pentagon's own simulations predicted this was the most likely outcome of regime change. Venezuela's doing just fine. We're getting all kinds of oil from there. FYI, the White House expects 10,000 plus American casualties, and they indeed plan to put boots on the ground in Iran. Well, here we are 5 months in. Iran is collapsing. They have no military power anymore whatsoever. They don't even have leverage over the Strait of Hormuz. And guess what? 18 Americans have died. Yes, that's tragic. 18. It's a lot less than 10,000. And no boots on the ground yet. So when we see his sterling record, what do you guys think about this one now? Nukes are coming, huh? See, the crazy part and the sad part is they are such bad track records now that if Alex Jones was even trying to pretend he was still legitimate, you wouldn't have somebody like Robert Barnes on. Because at this point, Robert Barnes is as fraudulent as it gets. So we can assume anybody still treating him seriously is equally as fraudulent. And that includes his best friend here. Yes, Mr. Rich Barris, who is asking Barnes, do we have to say it? As the Cook Political report came out and, started shifting some stuff around based on the polls, which we all know is fake. And Rich Barris is now promoting this as like, oh, see, we told you so. But there's a problem here. Rich Barris himself has called out the Cook report multiple times as fraudulent. Here's a post from 22. Remember the election political analysis from Cook last month that regurgitated the admin talking points? Well, it's not going to get worse. It's not the president's fault anyway. So disgusting. In the real world, it did. Calling out Cook for being awful. Here's another one. How's that forecast working out for you? You guys over at Cook ever considering getting out of e-polling and forecast game? Maybe just offering analysis after the fact? Your polling is awful. Why did you wait 2 weeks to release it? And one more. You give any further thought to my previous questions? This is in 24, right after the election. In case you need a reminder, they were ever considered just giving post-election analysis because Cook sucks at election forecasting. This is a year and a half ago, folks. Why did Cook hold on to garbage polls so long? So wait, hold on, Rich. I'm so confused because now you're promoting the Cook Political report as backing your assumptions up. Wow. Isn't that funny how that works? These people, man, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And they just get worse and worse. But, if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what to tell you. Now, we have one of the most confusing ones. I'm going to admit this because we have Owen Schroyer, who has turned from Alex and was pardoned by President Trump and now is completely gone against him. But he's also promoting the narrative that the election is sunk, the midterms are sunk, just like Barris. Hey, it says, by the way, look at this new picture. The Owen report. my God. These people. You want to know what a narcissist looks like, folks? This is a narcissist. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, I digress. They are now trying to crush the midterm narrative. Barris, Barnes, Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer jumping in on it. Taking a poly market of Texas. By the way, how did poly market work out for Florida, folks? Not well. They had Vindman at 98% and he lost. But Talrico flavored to flip Texas Senate seat blue for the first time since 88. Listen, Talrico's not flipping anything blue. This guy is a vegan, trans guy, just insane. But Owen, of course, is promoting it. That would be devastating. I don't think he could do it, but if you aren't in Texas, you don't understand how many H-1Bs and immigrants live there and vote now. It's wild, and Republicans did it. The problem is that Texas has gotten redder the last few election cycles. It's just the fact. Now, I'm not the only one calling these people out anymore. Dan Bongino's been doing it a lot. And as a result, they're going after him. Mike Lindell Television has now decided to go after Dan Bongino. Why? Well, this is led by, of course, Emerald Robinson, who I've long told you guys is a fraud and not quite sure why Mike Lindell has put up with her. We can all speculate. But she did a whole segment on this, and I don't want to play her, but I'll read this part. Dan Bongino built his brand exposing government weaponization. Then he joined the FBI, and according to Brandon Straka, a guy who has no information whatsoever, the people who actually experienced the weaponization firsthand couldn't get a meeting. He's talking about J6ers, who are all pardoned. And somehow a lot of these J6ers who are influencers are out there griping about it, like Straka and Schroyer. Why didn't you just leave it alone? Straka says he repeatedly reached out to Bongino and Cashbow's J6 case, and an FBI agent he alleges manufactured information against him. No response. Meanwhile, Bongino went from questioning the official Epstein narrative to defending the FBI's conclusions once inside. Maybe he got new information? Or maybe he knew it's time to wait? I don't know. But yeah, it makes sense that once you get closer to it, instead of being a person on the outside. Apparently, calling out the hypocrisy is sensitive subject. Straka struck a nerve. Bongino responded by calling him a grifter. The podcast crusader at FBI leadership. Who's the man? But here it is. They're reporting the fall of Dan Bongino. I'm going to tell you right now, Dan Bongino is going to have more viewers than all these people for a very long time. But if you forget who Emerald Robinson is, well, she really showed herself during the election of 24, where she kept coming out and saying, I'm warning the Trump team and they're not listening to me. And then she continually just said, we're losing. We're all going to lose. It's over. It's being stolen from us. And then when they won, what did she say? I don't know what happened. Apparently, somebody cyber attacked the bad guys and we won. Just absolute nonsense. But if you don't believe me, here's Emerald Robinson just a few years back before she became such a serious broadcaster on Lindell TV.
Hi, my name is Emerald Robinson, reading for the host.
Serious reporting here.
Suppose you research the bingo company and decide that the stock is a bargain at $50. But when you look up, the stock is selling for $52, which you don't think is such a bargain. So you tell your broker to put a buy order. Goods till canceled. So if the stock goes down to $50, you will buy it.
This is who Mike Lindell decided to put in charge of his news division at Lindell TV. The Emerald.
Golden age of the Epstein Club.
A very serious person, can't you tell? The going from bikini reporting to now taking down Dan Bongino and scaring everybody about the 24 election. So, you guys decide, but I think we should probably have a word with Mike Lindell about it. Now, these are the obvious grifters, okay? These are the people, and we can see what they're doing. They're trying to take down the actual people supporting Donald Trump who might actually have real inside information. They're trying to scare everybody about the midterms. They're trying to take down everybody, like, as we're clearly winning in Iran, they're trying to take down that narrative. So we all know their game. Okay, we call that out. The one person who keeps everybody on edge, and obviously not everybody, some people are going to say, I knew it all along. But there's many people who get confused, and that is General Flynn. General Flynn just came out the other day in response to somebody asking, is Thomas Massie America first? He said, quite frankly, yes. But this is the crazy stuff, because he's been doing this with many grifters and supporting them lately. And I got to tell you, it's spreading. As Jay writes right here, General Flynn saying Thomas Massie's America first. I'd love for him to explain how voting against border security is America first, voting with Ilhan Omar and AOC, being against striking cartel boats, stripping the president's authority, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. More people are also catching on to this as Flynn again backs up Brandon Straka calling out Dan Bongino. He says 100% fire. It's supposed to be a guy who's in the know. Why does Flynn attack MAGA, Trump, Bongino, and anyone on the right that doesn't move with his networks while aligning with fringe right Christian nationalists trying to usher in a third party oddly similar to National Socialists took over Germany? By the way, these are not Christian nationalists. This guy's absolutely wrong on that. I don't think of Tucker as a Christian nationalist or Massey, but regardless, he's right about the network. Oh, right. Because he's the one who fostered these networks through multiple entities like Catholics for Catholics and Gold Institute. He's also a registered agent in both Turkey and Republika Srpska. Now, he did take money from Srpska. I don't know if he's a registered agent. It was a 1-month thing. And as far as Turkey, I haven't confirmed that. But there is a lot of questions on Flynn, and more people are paying attention. Here's one of the ones that matter. MJ Truth Ultra has been long time in the Q movement types. He's been decoding. He's been exposing all kinds of information. He's somebody I trust. I follow him closely. He's got great content. Even he now is worried about what he's seeing. And that's a big tell. Says Flynn, respectfully, the attacks we see from within are from you, and many of whom you surround yourself with, is to the point now where it seems intentional and coordinated, and that's coming from someone, me, who has supported you for nearly a decade. I have a soft spot for those who serve. Thank you for your service, but being honest, it doesn't look good. No, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. And why is this happening? Well, there's two ways of seeing this. Either Flynn has been completely bought off, corrupted, name how each turned, or it's kayfabe and there's something deeper going on here. And to present that other thought is Brian Cates. Brian Cates is one of the greatest investigative independent journalists out there. I love Cates. I follow him very closely. He writes great stuff. I've yet to see him be wrong on anything. He really, really nails it, really understands Trump and what's going on, and is a researching fiend. But he's still supporting Flynn. And he says this: what's the best way to lead an influencer network over the cliff? To neutralize information warfare operational network, how would you go about doing that? Especially since most of the target audience of the 5th gen InfoWar network trying to destroy Trump and MAGA would not believe that's what their favorite influencers are really attempting to do. Step 1, join it. Step 2, assume a leadership role, then guide them into self-destruction fairly quickly. Network isn't even having the impact on the Trump base that was hoped for. Most of the network has pretty much already neutralized itself, making his job even easier. Is that all true? I would say, yeah, they are self-destructing. They are falling apart. They are losing influence. The Florida elections just prove that. So, is it possible? I think it's possible. Is it true? I don't know. I am skeptical. The more I see from Flynn, because I'm not seeing a benefit coming out of this, because I don't see how Flynn actually was a part of bringing them all down. I think the rest of us just saw what was happening. But am I open to it? Yeah, I am, because we have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes, especially when it involves Trump, intelligence agencies, and propaganda, because there's places on both sides spewing propaganda. And you need to understand that. It's tough to understand sometimes, but it is true. There's a lot of psyoping going on, and it does come from both sides. Not nearly as much on the good side, but it does happen. And here's one of the ways you could almost say this is proof. And this might also be part of the this helps the argument that maybe Flynn is on this side, because yesterday Donald J. Trump appeared on a podcast with Michael Cohen. For those who don't remember, Michael Cohen was Trump's lawyer that bailed on Trump. He became a media darling as he told everybody how corrupt Trump was. He was Trump's handler. Took care of it. Took care of stuff for Trump. The Stormy Daniels stuff, etc., etc. He said all kinds of crazy things, trying to make Trump look bad. Ended up going to prison for a bit. And now it seems like they're best friends. Here's a little clip of Trump and Cohen.
I want to go back to 2016 if we can, because you and I have obviously traveled a pretty rocky road together. Do you remember, sir, when I went on CNN with Brianna Keeler and she told me that you were underwater in the polls, and I responded with those famous 2 words, says who, which became some worldwide meme.
And good advocate, and then they weaponized you like nobody's ever been weaponized, like few have been.
Well, maybe just you and I, sir.
And
but
you... Yeah,
look how well they're getting along.
Consider mine, mine was at a level that nobody's ever seen before. But they weaponized you. They weaponized a lot of people. And I respect the fact that you recanted everything you said. And that's a big thing that you did. That's a very big thing.
Sir, you may remember
the country.
You may remember that following morning you called me into the office after, and then you gave me one of those traditional Trump slaps on the shoulder, and you said to me, F them. You're stronger than them. We've got this. Now, the funny thing is that CNN never apologized. They never retracted anything. And now, years later, CNN, MS Now, and the other left-leaning outlets, they're doing the exact same thing, constantly talking about you being underwater with favorability numbers.
This is wild. They're talking like best friends. And you guys know, Trump does not forget. Trump doesn't let you back in if you betray him. He might be kind of nice from afar. Look what Trump's done with DeSantis, who he's kept out of his administration. He's pushed out. Now we'll see what happens after the midterms when DeSantis is no longer governor. Maybe that'll change. But he even appointed Byron Donalds, or I say not appointed, but endorsed Byron Donalds when DeSantis hates him. He's not done anything to help DeSantis because DeSantis ran against Trump and tried to take him out in the 24 primary. Trump does not do this. He doesn't get buddy-buddy with people who betrayed him. And all of a sudden, him and Michael Cohen just sound like long-lost friends.
So maybe what we should do is then have a press conference and literally put out all of the accomplishments, because what's happening... Boss, you remember when I was by your side? I literally used to analyze the polls, right? And you remember how much attention that I used to pay to that methodology? I would come in, I would say to you, oh, they're claiming that you're 31%, that you're underwater, but I showed you that
the polls are crooked. The polls are...
Exactly.
So the reporters, as you know, are crooked, but many of them. You have some great ones, too, but for the most part, it's really dishonest.
But the sample size is roughly...
When you read the New York Times, it's so dishonest. When you read these things, and they're not doing well. Look, the reason they're not doing well is because they've lost a lot of credibility. And now you do have great journalists. You do have great reporters also. Many people are very good. Very, very good. I could name them, but by naming them, I'll leave some out. But you also have a lot of people that see how good things are with the economy is a renaissance. There's never been anything like it.
Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Cohen called him boss. You hear that? They just working this out the whole time. I don't know. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So again, is it possible that some of these people who have been close to Trump, like say Michael Flynn, is it possible they're running an op? Absolutely, it's possible. Does that mean we have to trust it in the meantime? No. And I'm going to continue to be very skeptical because the stuff I'm seeing, from Flynn is very, it's very disheartening. And so, and his connections, but I'm very open to the possibility he's being a part of bringing it all down, like Brian Cates says, because they are going down and they're getting weaker and weaker. Now, Cohen went on to continue and say he was pressured and coerced to turn on Trump. Here's a little more on a different podcast.
It was clear that they were interested only in testimony from me that would enable them to convict President Trump. When my testimony was insufficient for a point the prosecution sought to make, prosecutors frequently asked inappropriate leading questions to elicit answers that support their narrative. I experienced a similar dynamic in the Attorney General's civil case. Letitia James made it publicly known during her 2018 campaign for Attorney General that if elected, she would go after President Trump. Her office made clear that the testimony they wanted from me was testimony that would help them do just that. Again, I felt compelled and coerced to deliver what they were seeking. And so I guess the question that I had been intending to ask you is, does that mean that the testimony that you provided wasn't truthful?
No, to the exact contrary. As I stated, I felt pressured and coerced. That's my personal feeling, which I am certainly entitled to have. In no way, shape, or form should it connote that the information that I provided was anything but truthful and accurate. Now, another paragraph, Dan, in all fairness.
This sounds to me like they're setting up an attack against the New York office, the Letitia James, Alvin Bragg types, that they're setting up to blow all this open and say that this was basically completely unfair, completely corrupt in every single way, sense of the form, that they were bullying their witnesses. That's what this seems like it's setting up to me. Because here's the deal, folks. If Trump doesn't just go on people's podcasts, he doesn't have time for that. It has to be a reason for it. Michael Cohen, after watching him stab Trump in the back, for him to Donald Trump as president now to take his time to show up on this and them act like best old friends, and then Cohen going around talking about being pressured into this seems like a rug pull to me. We're going to watch how it plays out, but we know Trump loves to go get his enemies. And we know that nothing ultimately came out of this whole case. So Cohen's testimony, whatever he said, ended up not really damaging Trump that much, if at all. Maybe even helped him as people hated the lawfare going on against him. So where are we at? I don't know. Can I be completely honest? But I can tell you the one thing I do know, things are not what they seem. They're definitely not what they seem. And then Scavino, Dan Scavino, Trump's media guy, has been there since the first term, one of Trump's most trusted people, put this out. You know, the other day he put out about a quitter who many assume was Joe Kent based on the information in the tweet. And now he put this out. An anonymous source insists what they heard from two other anonymous sources is 100% factually true. Because one anonymous source in the West Wing was told the exact same thing by two more anonymous sources at Cafe Milano who also heard it. So yes, we're writing this bullshit story full of lies and we're sticking to it. We're going with the piece that rests on a grand total of 6 anonymous sources while ignoring the 8 cabinet members who gave us statements on the record. Can't imagine why the American people keep calling us fake news. What is he doing right here? He's teaching us, he's showing us how ridiculous these stories, these leaks are that come out of the White House that are continually proven wrong. But this is how they operate. And Scavino is putting it out there and mocking it. It's anonymous to anonymous to anonymous. And that brings us all the way back to this. When Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, sources are telling me the Trump administration is talking about nukes. It's just not true. But this is how the game works. They do it in the mainstream media. They do it in the podcaster scene. If they're not naming names, you can't trust it. But they'll use it. They'll use it to psyop you, to scare you, because everything's a game out there. Those of us who are regular people watching this, all we can do is piece together who's telling the truth by their record and then actual data when we can find it. That's all we can do. It's the best we have because very, very few of these people can be trusted. Usually on the bad side of things, but yeah, seeing Michael Cohen come back with Trump means sometimes on the good side of things. And we can hope, like Brian Cates is saying here, that someone like Michael Flynn actually is some kind of white hat operating behind the scenes to break down Podcastistan. I'm skeptical. But for now, after what just happened with Michael Cohen, I think we all have to allow for the fact that maybe there's still much, much more going on that we don't understand or know, and that it's all going to lead us to a better place in the end. All right, folks, if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching today. Let's spend some time in the chat before we go. I'll keep up Ami's face because it makes me laugh. Ami S. Tucker. Let's see here. Another super chat came in. Chiosap with a $2 super chat says, could Cohen have been planted by Trump? That's what I'm saying. It absolutely possible. Yeah. Zane Daniel with a $10 super chat says, I love everything you do. I'm a huge supporter of the Trump admin. I'm confused. Why does the price of oil continue to go up when the strait's largely open? Are the oil companies backstabbing us? Thank you, Zane, for the $10. Thank you, Chio, for the $2. The answer is yes. They are gouging. Trump's already called them out for that. But there's another aspect to that as well. Even though we have crazy amounts of oil flowing, even though we are energy independent as far as we are exporting more oil than we can use, there's another factor. And that's that there is a specific oil that has been slowed down that we use because of our refineries. Our refineries are not equipped for the oil we produce, at least most of the oil we produce. It also, many of our refineries have been shut down. We need more. We need more, and we also need them to be updated in many ways before we can be completely self-sufficient. If the strait was truly closed, oil would be 130, 150 if we had a real oil problem. If we weren't pumping as much as we were and the strait was truly closed. So you think oil prices are high now? They'd be like $6, $7 a gallon nationwide if it was really the problem people say it is. The fact it's hovering in the 80s, yeah, every time something escalates, the oil prices respond to that because it's speculators doing it. It's not the oil companies necessarily doing it immediately. And then the price of oil goes up, and so they raise their prices. That's how that all works. That's why the price can change so quickly, even if the flow hasn't stopped, because they're estimating what could happen in the future. So they're trying to bank money for that. That's why it's all of those factors combined, which is why oil prices are still elevated. Once the stability sets in and they know it's going to be fine every day from here on out for at least a long time, that's when oil will seriously go down. So I hope that helps. Promethean Action Ladies, Rich, you, Tom, General Blaine, we got people on the same page. We do. We have a lot of people on the same page. We're starting to understand better what's happening. So it's great. Cohen was just going to go where he feels he'll sustain the least damage. Look what he got for lying on the stand, a podcast and one-on-one with the president. Is that justice? Not yet. It's not. Not yet. We'll have to see what happens. Let's see here. Oh man, another troll. You're not a regular person. You're a guy with a cap. I don't know. Was that a bad comment? I don't necessarily think that was bad. I hope you just put them on timeout, not on banning them. I want to make sure I think they were being funny. So we can let Goodbye Park come back. Sorry, Goodbye Park. Didn't mean to have you banned. My mods are very protective of me, and they should be, because we get a lot of trash, okay? We get a lot of trolls and crap. So Moody says, what do I think of a presidential ticket with Kamala and Meghan Markle as VP? I would love it, because we'd win 80% of the states. People hate Meghan Markle in this country. Zane says, it's frustrating when oil prices go down, we get prices of everything back down rough on the midterms. It is. I agree with you. It's a risk for sure. Trump did try to get some refineries back up in Cali, 100%. Apert says the 80% cut in airborne sulfur mandated by EU stripped away Europe's pollution sunshade without aerosols bouncing sunlight away. Direct radiation makes heat waves more extreme. What? Really? I haven't looked into that. I can't speak to it, but thanks, Apert. That's interesting. All right. Well, guys, it's been a nice long show. Had a lot of fun today. Thank you guys for giving me some stimulating conversation. Oh, here's another one. Kellyanne, does the City of London still have all the insurance policies, or did we start selling them? We've insured some. They've reinsured others, but they no longer have the a monopoly on it, and so they've lost a lot of money. Okay. Come Monday, will I be lowering the mic from the ceiling? Probably not. I don't have the technology to put that together, but that's funny. We got to boost some of these smaller channels. Are great on this stuff. Thank you, Texas. Yeah, share me. Listen, like, subscribe, share. Always helps. Post me on your social media channels, stuff like that. Okay, mods can't burn penalty. Okay, well, that's good to know, Moody. That's good to know. My eyes was on the bottom half of the Bikini News video. What? How dare you? My eyes are where they always were. What are you talking about? You know what? I don't even think Emerald Robinson's that attractive. Okay? She's not ugly. She's not my type. Iran president's calling for end of war. That's Fox saying that? What? Let's see. Thanks, Cat Crazy. Oh, I think this is what I reported. Okay, they're reporting what this same post that I shared. That's what it's got to be. She's mid at best. Was she like a 7.5? This is, I'm going to get in trouble for being misogynistic. Look, I'm a human being. Okay, we're all definitely a little shallow, aren't we? Can we all just admit it? I can't read all that. Doge says the channel had 5K subs seems like not long ago. Now it's nearly 43. It's what you get. Consistent pro America, pro mega. I'm not gonna try. Gets it. I'm old. You guys are so bad. Hilarious. All right. Well, on that note, this chat is now descending into hell. It's getting really bad. It's getting really bad in here. We're going to have to reset it. The guys are getting a little too thirsty. Soda hot. That's messed up. That is messed up. That's so funny. U.S. created insurance coverage for Australia. Haven't given it up. Well, that's good. You guys are so funny. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate you guys. Please hit the like and subscribe on the way out. Let me pray. Hard to pray after this, is right? No, it's okay. God created our sex drives, right? As long as we're not terrible. So, but guys, I'm going to have some videos up this week with Weekend with Rich. Tomorrow, don't miss the Mike Steger interview on my channel. It's really good. Mike is amazing as always. And yeah, we got good stuff coming. So let's pray and we'll call it a day and enjoy your weekend. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless all these people, Lord. Thank you for them. They make me laugh. They make me think. And I really appreciate them. Just great people. So thank you for them, Lord. Thank you for all the supporters, the amazingly generous super chatters, Lord, and the members. Thank you for them, Lord, that they allow me to come in and do this. And Father, I just pray a blessing over them. I bless our president, Father, with protection and wisdom, Lord, for everything he's facing and everything his team's facing in Jesus' name. We pray that the midterms, we get the result that you want, Lord. You know what's best for the country at this moment to get us to where we need to go. So, Father, we pray for that to be done, and that there would truly be a shockwave through the country as we get wonderful results. So, Lord, help us do what we can to make that happen. And Father, just help us do what we can to make our country better. Inspire each and every one of us how we can make a difference every day. Build a better country, a more prosperous, just, and peaceful nation for our future, our kids, our grandkids, and great-grandkids. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I'll see everybody else in the chat. And members, I think you're going to have members live this weekend. So I'm going to try to make it happen. So I'll see you guys there. Take care.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody